she made one of the oddest screen tests on record. She had to show the studio how she could handle a fervent kissing scene, but they wouldn't furnish a man for demonstration purposes. So she kissed the air with such sincerity that it won her the part. She's played a Southern girl before, on both stage and screen, but she learned the accent all over again, this time with the Louisiana flavor, for her new film, Jezebel, in which, for the first time in pictures, she sings. To her, a good part is more important than a sympathetic one. Tonight we present this distinguished young actress in another fine role, that of Mary Clay in Forsaking All Others, the stage and screen hit by Edward Robert and Frank Cavett. Co-starred with Miss Davis is Joel McCrea, whose latest hit is the current Paramount picture, Wells Fargo. In the film, Joel rides the mail. In real life, he rides the range. Joel's home is far out in the San Fernando Valley, a 1,000-acre tract where, with his wife, Frances D., he spends his time between pictures raising cattle and horses. Joel is no pseudo-cowboy. Drive by his ranch, and you'll see him in dusty overalls rounding up the dogies with as much precision as the sombreroed horsemen who call him boss. Joel lays aside his chaps and spurs, however, and comes to us tonight in the role of Jefferson Tingle. Anderson Lawler, who created the part on Broadway, is Dylan Todd, and Leona Maracle plays Constance Barnes. Now for the play. The Lux Radio Theater presents Betty Davis and Joel McCrea in Forsaking All Others. Park Avenue in New York City. A taxicab darts in and out of the afternoon traffic, clicks hubcaps with a parked limousine, and swerves to a screeching stop in front of a red light. Jeff Tingle, in the back seat of the taxicab, leans forward and taps politely on the window.
Oh, driver.
Yeah?
You know, I didn't think you were going to make that.
I didn't need it for a minute. Pretty good brakes on each of your cabs, though.
They always work, I suppose.
Oh, sure. Hey, you ain't nervous, are you?
Oh, no, I wouldn't care for myself. But there's a lady back here who's going to be married tomorrow. If it's all the same to you, she'd like to be married without splints.
I get it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very neatly put, Mr. Tingle.
I thought so myself.
I'm sure the driver thinks it's you I'm marrying.
No.
Of course he does.
Maybe I'd better tell him.
Do you think he could stand it?
I don't know. Probably better than I can.
Jeff, you haven't a secret sorrow, have you? Tell me about it.
Well, I'm the old-fashioned type, I guess, but I don't believe in the groom's best friend going shopping with the bride-to-be. You know, I've always felt that the best man shouldn't even see the bride until they meet at the altar.
Is that all? I thought you were going to confess you've been hiding a secret love for me.
No, I couldn't do that.
Have a secret love for me?
That's a leading question I refuse to answer.
I'm disappointed. Think how dramatic it would be. Mary, I have been silent long enough, but now on the eve of your wedding to Dylan Todd, I must tell you, I love you.
And I hope you'll be very, very happy.
Oh, Jeff Tingle, why didn't you speak sooner?
I couldn't. I had laryngitis. You're happy, aren't you, Mary?
Very.
Good girl. Well, this is it.
You're coming up, aren't you?
Well, I thought I might get back to the office.
Oh, come on. Everybody will be there. I invited the whole crowd.
All right, go ahead. I'll see you upstairs.
I'll leave the door open for you.
What's the tariff, Chief?
It's $1.20. Lady sure looks happy, don't she?
Uh-huh.
Great stuff, this here marriage business. I got 2 kids myself.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. You sure got a nice girl.
Well, that's nice of you to say so. Lonesome Tingle, they call me. Always a best man, but never a groom.
Which is, huh?
You can keep the change.
What is the nice school?
Hello? Hello, is this? Oh, hello, Miss Kramer. This is Mr. Tingle. Everything all right down at the office? Ah, that's fine. Say, did anybody I know buy or sell anything today? Oh, well. Thanks, Miss Kramer. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Jeff.
Just a minute, Paula.
You take care of the flowers.
What? All right, Miss Kramer. Goodbye. What's the matter, Paula?
What about the flowers for the church?
It's all attended to. You worry too much.
Well, I can't help it. No one else around here seems to bother about a thing. I was a friend of Mary's mother. I'm just trying to do my duty to her as if she were my own little girl.
Who, Mary's mother?
Why not? Oh, some people, Jeff Tingle, make a wedding very difficult to manage.
Well, personally, I like the way Mary's managing her wedding. I think I'll let her manage mine.
Jeff, look at this.
Hello, Dottie.
In the newspaper, look. It's Constance Barnes.
What about it?
Anything wrong? What's the matter, Dottie?
Constance Barnes. She's back from Europe. Listen. Also included in the first cabin list were the so-and-sos, the Umtipoot, and Miss Constance Barnes. She docked this morning.
Well, the woman has a right to come and go. You needn't get so excited about Constance Barnes.
Mary might.
Mary knows all about her.
Who is she?
Nobody, take my word for it.
She's somebody. Take my word for it.
Well, hardly a person to consider at this particular time. Everybody knows that little story is ended. Ended happily with no hard feelings. Now, I think we needn't say anything to Mary about it.
Say what, Paula?
Well, nothing, Mary.
No, nothing. She'll probably find out anyway.
Oh, Dottie Winters, I'll wring your neck.
How'll I find out? What you talking about, Jeff?
Connie Barnes is back.
Got in today. It's in the paper.
My rival. The dark lady in Dylan Todd's life.
Well, I don't think it's so funny.
Oh, Paula, you poor dear. Why, I'm very proud of her.
Oh, you're not fooling me, Mary. You don't like her, you can't.
I don't know her. But she is a definite proof of Dill's importance. If Dill had to be led around by his distinguished nose for a while, I'm glad the lady was as elegant as she is.
Now, you make Dill toe the line. And no more nonsense about admiring women who steal other women's husbands.
I hope you men see what weak, miserable creatures you are.
Yeah, I'm beginning to. How about you, Jeff?
Oh, I always knew.
Miss Mary, these flowers just arrived for you.
2 boxes at once. Thank you, Dent.
Yes, Miss Mary.
Open one, will you, Shep?
Sure.
Look, Jeff. Orchids.
Orchids. A fortune in weeds just to cover up a lady's collarbone.
What's in the other one, Shep?
I don't know. Here, what do you call them?
Oh, they're cornflowers. How sweet of Dill to remember.
Shep, you and I are intruding on a sacred moment. Cornflowers must have a special meaning for
Oh,
him.
they're my favorite. Do you mind if I'm a little sentimental? He did remember, you know.
Uh-huh.
Wear one for me. Here, Shep.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. And one for you, Mr. Tingle.
No, too bad, Mary, but flowers wither on me in an instant.
I know. Just one brief, blinding flame.
That's it. Hello, everybody. Behold the bridegroom.
Hello, Mary.
Dill, you finally got here?
Miss me?
Terribly.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Hi. Say, Shep, aren't you hungry?
Not me.
It's all right, Jeff.
They have swell food in the pantry. Come on, let's get some.
I just said I wasn't hungry.
Then haven't you any tact? Come on.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Oh,
I get it.
don't bother, Shep. We're leaving ourselves. Come on, Dill. I want to speak to you.
See you later, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
Alone at last.
I love you, Dill.
Swell. I wish it were this time tomorrow.
Darling, if you'd rather, we'll get married by a policeman tonight.
Oh, no. We'll do it right and proper. Excited, darling?
A little.
What?
A lot.
You know, the first time I ever kissed you was in this room. Wasn't it?
Was it?
Well, good Lord, I thought it was. Maybe it wasn't.
Well, I don't remember either. But I love you for trying to remember.
I do remember. Everywhere I look, I seem to see a Mary doing something or other.
Sort of like spots in front of your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mary, age 15, making everything about Latin very clear.
But I couldn't do it now.
Mary is Juliet, age 17.
16? Paula made me be Juliet. I think I would have been much better as Queen Elizabeth.
Still, I rather like Juliet, especially in the solarium, sneaking a cigarette.
Oh, Dill, thanks for the flowers.
They got here all right?
Especially the cornflowers.
I didn't send any cornflowers.
I wouldn't admit it either if I were you.
Admit what?
Jeff will hound you to your dying day, sending your bride cornflowers.
I thought I sent orchids. I give up.
Hello.
Connie,
How are you, Dill? Dottie said I'd find you in here.
I thought you were in Paris, Connie.
Yes, I was a week ago.
Oh, yes.
Well, I can't keep you in the dark any longer, Miss Barnes. I'm Mary Clay.
I knew you were the minute I looked at you. I must apologize for breaking in like this.
Oh, no, we're delighted. It's open house. Besides, I feel Dill owes many of his friends an apology. You know, for marrying a strange woman they know nothing about. Won't you take off your things?
Oh, I can only stay a minute. I've still wanted to meet you, Miss Clay, but it seems as though you travel as much as I do.
Well, I've come and gone. I returned last month for my wedding.
Yes, I heard about it in Paris. You're a clever girl, Miss Clay, for putting Dill through his paces. He always said he hated big weddings. The experience will do him good.
Oh, it's just me, dear. Only 2 bridesmaids and Paula, my maid of honor.
Well, can I do anything to help?
Yes, come and see it tomorrow. Well, will you two excuse me a minute?
Certainly. Well, Dill, here we are.
When did you get back, Connie?
This morning. Perfectly heavenly crossing. I think we broke a record or something.
Staying a while?
Oh, perhaps. I haven't made any real plans. I just decided all of a sudden to sail, so I sailed. How are you, Dill?
You shouldn't have come here, Connie. You know that.
I came because I wanted to see you. To get, shall I say, one last glimpse. And I thought there might be a bare chance that you would like to see me.
Well, I don't want to see you.
Why, Dill, you're cruel.
Stop it. It doesn't matter to you. Nothing has ever mattered to you.
You did, Dill.
You never meant it. Any of it.
Not even Sorrento?
Not even Sorrento.
Dill,
Yes?
I did mean it at Sorrento. And in Switzerland, too. Remember that divine little village in the Alps?
I really think you'd better go.
Just as you say. Dill,
Yes?
are you in love?
Utterly?
Happy?
For the first time in my life.
Honeymooning?
Of course.
Continent?
No, London.
Oh, dear, but why London? It's so cold and so gray.
I like London. Mary likes London.
Well, I guess it's London. But if you should happen to get over to Italy...
We won't.
But just in case London does seem a little too gray and too cold, and you wanted to see what sunshine was like, and you suddenly found yourself in Italy, would you do something for me?
What?
Would you look across that beautiful bay and up at the smoke plumes of Vesuvius and think of me? Of you? Of us? Just once?
But we are not going to Sorrento.
Well, that's that. Goodbye, Dill. No hard feelings and bon voyage.
Goodbye, Connie.
Must you go so soon, Miss Bond?
Oh, I'm sorry. I really can't stay. And you must have at least a dozen things to do.
At least. But they can wait.
Oh, no, I've really got to run. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, dear, why don't you drop Miss Bonds off?
Oh, no, I wouldn't think of it. I'll be all right. Goodbye, Dill.
Well, that was a little unexpected. Do you mind?
Why, of course I don't, darling. Why should I?
Oh, Mary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on in, Jeff.
I just wanted to tell you that everybody's gone. I'm on my way now.
Oh, don't go. Let's sit around and talk. The three of us.
No, I can't, Mary. I don't know about you, but I've got a big day ahead of me tomorrow.
Oh.
Well, see you in church, Miss Clay.
See you in church, Mr. Tingle. Rain. Wouldn't you just know it? Rain for a wedding. Oh, stop crying, Paula. Rain's lucky for me. The side door driver.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, look at the crowd going in the church. All for me. Oh, Paula, in all my life, I've never had such a fuss made over me. I love it. Hurry up, driver. Hello, everybody.
Oh, Mary, we thought you'd never arrive. It's a fine way to treat your bride.
Calm down, darlings. Take your cue from Mary. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, you're here.
What's the matter? Wasn't I supposed to come today? How's Dill feeling?
Well, I don't know.
What? The best man doesn't
Just
know.
don't get excited. I'll be right back.
What's wrong with him?
Well, why don't we start? What is that woman singing for? They ought to be playing the wedding march.
The sweetest story ever told. Paula, did you tell that soprano to sing the sweetest story ever told?
No, dear.
Well, neither did I, and I loathe it.
Oh, this hat. May I sit down?
No. Quick, everybody. Who goes Paula? Paula, am I all right? Do I look all right? Listen.
Well, here we go.
I'm weak. My knees are buckling.
Left foot, isn't it?
Start, start. Goodbye, everybody.
Wait. Mary, don't go out there yet.
Why, Jeff, are you crazy?
Mary, Who told him to start that thing? Tell him to stop. Stop the music.
Why, Jeff, is it Dill? Is he sick?
No, he's married.
What? Did you say married, Jeff?
Yes, Mary.
Married to whom?
Connie Barnes.
To Connie Barnes.
Yes.
Oh, shut up, everybody.
Well,
Jeff,
steady, Mary.
Oh, it's all right. I'm not going to faint. Tell me.
It's true, Mary. Dill wired my house. The boy just brought it. I had the woman sing to stall for time.
The sweetest story ever told.
Mary.
It said he was sorry, didn't it?
Oh, yes.
You poor darling. Oh, yes, I'm sure he's sorry. So am I. It's one of those things you'd like to see happen to somebody else. Like a fat lady on a banana peeling.
Oh, Mary, I'm so sorry for you. Well, we're leaving at once. Tell the papers that. Tell them that Mary Clay decided at the last minute she didn't wish to marry.
Jeff, put these lilies in water for me. I might want to get married again sometime. Will someone get Jeff a pitcher or a bucket? There's plenty of water outdoors.
Let's go, Mary. They're sending the crowd away. Let's get ahead of it.
Wait. The benediction. Hold open the door so I can hear.
No, please.
Well, then I'll hold it open myself.
And the ceremony will be indefinitely postponed. Miss Mary Clay will not be married to Mr. Dylan Todd today.
Miss Mary Clay will not be married to Mr. Dillon Todd today. Sounds funny, doesn't it? And I always thought that rain was lucky for me.
Act one of tonight's Lux Radio Theater play, Forsaking All Others, with Betty Davis and Joel McRae. We go on to Act two in a moment. Meanwhile, during our intermission, we have a new game we'd like you to play with us. It's called Last Word Up. Here's how it's played. We've asked a young lady to read a piece to you. The game is that you pick out the last word in every sentence she reads, like this.
I am very anxious to stay beautiful.
The last word in that sentence was beautiful. Remember, pick out the last word in every sentence. Place them together in the order in which they appear, and you'll find they themselves make a complete sentence. See what that sentence is. Ready? Let's go. Sentence one.
You will notice the most popular girls are always dainty.
Sentence two.
Daintiness, the most appealing charm of all, should be on the beauty program of all girls.
Sentence three.
It's a charm they all can have, and one they can keep through the years. In fact, always.
Sentence four.
It's romance women really want, and the girls who are dainty usually win.
Sentence five.
But remember, the girl who neglects this charm loses out.
And that's all. Now let's see if we have the right last words up. My little pad reads, dainty girls always win out. Famous screen stars will tell you that's the truth. For instance, here's what the lovely Loretta Young says. No smart girl neglects daintiness. Unless a girl has it, no other charm counts. Use Lux toilet soap as a beauty bath. Its active lather leaves skin really fresh and sweet, delicately fragrant, too. It's the best way I know to ensure daintiness. You'll love it. And thousands of girls everywhere have found from experience that what Loretta Young says is true. It pays to be exquisitely dainty with gentle, fragrant Lux toilet soap. Now, our producer, Mr. DeMille. We continue with Forsaking All Others, starring Betty Davis and Joel McRae. It's the following afternoon. Trying bravely to hide her real feelings, Mary is entertaining again at her home, passing the whole affair off as a joke on herself. But there's desperation in her bravery and bitterness in her laughter. Jeff Tingle has just arrived at the house. Still wearing his coat, he stands at the telephone, speaking to his secretary.
Hello. Miss Kramer? Mr. Tingle. Is everything all right down there? It's fine. Now, just between you and me, is there any use of my coming down to the office today? Or tomorrow? I didn't think so either. Goodbye. Oh, Dent.
Yes, sir?
When that gentleman arrives, you'll...
I'll show him to the library.
Good.
Yes, sir. Shall I take your coat, sir? Miss Clay is in the sitting room.
Thanks.
Jeff, Doc, come and join the party. We're celebrating my sudden release from matrimony.
You're looking very lovely, Mary.
Thank you. The frock is for my trousseau. I had it fumigated. Sit down.
I called you late last night. Why didn't you answer?
Because I wanted to unpack my trunks and get settled. Oh, then I was tired, so I went to bed after writing a few checks for the monthly bills, and I read myself to sleep on a book that Dill and I received as a wedding present. Being very careful about finger marks, of course, since back it goes. Finally, I put the book down and went to sleep.
Did you have a good sleep?
Best in years.
Must have been a good book.
It was rather nice. I'm going to buy it someday.
I'd like to speak to you, Mary. May I?
Of course. We can go in the library. My ambassadors of goodwill in there, Jeff. They all came to see what a jilted lady looks like.
You're putting on a good show.
Thanks.
Well, they're married, all right.
How romantic.
Justice of the peace, 11 o'clock yesterday
Oh,
morning.
don't spare a thing, Jefferson. What did the bride wear?
I don't know, but knowing Connie Barnes, I'd say something clinging and trailing.
Yes, I imagine so. Oh, Jeff, why did he do it?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out.
I have too, all night, all morning.
You're doing swell, Mary.
Jeff, do you hate being told to move on? If you're in some place that you think is all right for you to be, and somebody comes up very roughly and tells you to move on, that's how I feel. Ordered to take my little picnic basket in hand and get out of somebody's private property. I want to go away. I want to go away and hide. But I'm not going to. I'm going to stay and have a big time as if nothing had happened. Jeff, never again as long as I live will I laugh when the gentleman kicks the lady comedian. What is it, Dent?
For Mr. Tingle, Miss Mary.
The gentleman. Oh, all right, then. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What was that all about?
Mary, Bill's here.
What?
You've got to see him.
Who says so?
I do.
What does he want?
I'll let him tell you. I only spoke to him on the phone, but I promised I'd fix it so you'd see him. Your whole life may depend on this.
How can it possibly?
Please, Mary, for me. I'll send him in. All right, Bill. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks. Mary,
Yes, I'm still Mary. Remember me?
it's hard to explain what I did, but
Why do you try? What makes you think I want an explanation?
I must. I must make some attempt to...
Justify what you did.
No, that isn't possible.
Or perhaps you want to be forgiven. All right, I forgive you. So what?
Jeff said you'd see me. Allow me to talk.
You're talking. Go on.
Mary, you've always been a reasonable person.
Have I?
You've always been fair and just.
And generous. That's a good word, too.
Please, these aren't just words. Believe me, I know. I appreciate what I've done. I played you the meanest trick. I know all that. I only want to tell you it was my loss, too.
Two? Who else has lost? Have I? Oh, I was humiliated, embarrassed, naturally. But think what I escaped. Why, I almost married you. Oh, that's something to be grateful for. You know, like missing a train that was wrecked.
You don't mean that.
Don't I?
You can't, no matter what I've done. I know, and you may laugh at me for saying so, but I love you. I've never stopped loving you.
Love? All right, maybe you do love me. What's that got to do with it? Perhaps I love you, too. Yes, I think I do. I think I am in love with you. That doesn't mean I want to be. If I stay in a dark room and do as the doctor says and take plenty of nourishment, I'll get over it.
Mary, listen to me. I haven't slept. All night long I've walked the streets. I don't want... Oh, I know this is a rotten thing to say, but I need you. It's you I want, not Connie.
Oh, Dill. Can't you be loyal with anyone?
What do you mean?
Well, you're married to her, aren't you? Now I think you'd better go.
All right. All right, Mary.
Doesn't want Connie. What's a fine time to think of that. Keeping me waiting at a church all day and... Oh, no.
Mary. Here, have a cigarette. Light?
Thanks. Well, why don't you ask me what happened?
I don't have to. I saw Dill's face on the way out.
You know, Jefferson, I can almost tolerate myself again. I've said things that I didn't know I could. Horrible, mean things. And it felt so good. And you know, you're going to take me out to dinner tonight, Jefferson. I want a good dinner and I want to dance.
Dinner?
Mm-hmm. With you and Shep and Paula and anyone else who'd like to come.
I see. I'm Papa.
I'll wear my new white evening dress.
Who are you trying to make jealous?
Oh, Jefferson, now girls don't do that sort of thing anymore. But you can send me flowers if you like. Heaps and heaps of them.
No. Nothing doing. I sent them already.
Jefferson Tingle, you never sent me flowers in all your born days.
No? Well, it so happens that the day before yesterday I sent you some cornflowers. But you've probably forgotten. Well, I'll see you tonight.
Why, Jefferson Tingle.
I tried to get her to come. I said, Mary wants you to come, Paula. But she said she was just too upset.
There, what do you think of that, Jeff? I'm jilted at the altar, and Paula is so upset she can't come.
Iron nerves, Mary. What do you say we have something to eat? I'm hungry.
Don't be common, Mr. Tingle.
What about a steak all around?
And what else do they have?
Steak.
I'll have a steak, please, Mr. Tingle.
Very good, Miss Clay. Anything else you'd like?
Yes, a smile, Mr. Tingle.
A smile? How's this?
Gruesome.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the best I can do.
So what's the matter with you, Jeff? We're supposed to be on a party.
Yes, whoopee! We ought to have noisemakers.
Mary, you're beautiful tonight.
Thank you, sir.
If you ask me, Mr. Dylan Todd is a dope.
Who asked you?
Well, don't you think he was a dope?
I try never to think about anything.
Yeah, well, that's nice. That's loyalty.
Yeah, well,
I still think he's a dope. So do you.
I won't have you men quarreling over Carlotta, the dance hall girl. She isn't good enough.
Well, I'll have my steak rare. What about you, Mary?
That guy is hopeless, Mary. That's all. He's hopeless. Good evening, Miss Barnes.
Oh, good evening, Alfred.
We haven't seen you for a long time,
No,
Miss Barnes.
I've been away. Is Mr. Todd here tonight?
No, I haven't seen him, but will you wait?
Yes, give me a table, please. A quiet one, Alfred.
Right this way, Miss Barnes.
Shep, you're marvelous. I'm glad you brought him, Jeff.
Just Papa, that's all.
Look,
What's the matter, Mary?
am I hysterical or is that really Connie Barnes coming through that door?
It's Connie, all right.
Connie Barnes. She's heading right for us.
Oh, let's get out of here. I don't want to see her.
We can go upstairs. Come on.
No. No, I won't. I haven't done a thing to be ashamed of. Sit tight, Mary.
Mary, if I were you, I wouldn't go looking for trouble.
Why, Connie, how do you do?
Oh, good evening.
Well, hello, Connie.
Connie.
Hello, I was looking for... I told Dill I'd meet him here.
We've just ordered. Won't you join us?
Why,
Oh, we'd love to have you, wouldn't we, Jeff?
What? Oh, yes, delighted.
We're celebrating. Paula couldn't come, so you can have Chef Connie.
well, thank you. That's very sweet.
Sit down, won't you? Sit down, Shep. Sit down, Jeff. You're not going to stand up all evening, are you?
We'll clear the ring when we hear the gong.
Oh, shut up. Sit down.
Well, if you think it's safe, have a seat near the door, Shep.
Thanks.
I know what you all must be thinking.
Yeah? You're good.
Jeff, please.
Miss Clay, I'm glad we had this chance meeting. I feel there's some sort of explanation due you.
Explanation?
Yes, it was really unfortunate. I mean that our marriage should have to be at such a time.
Yes, it was a bit inopportuno.
I'm so sorry. I really blame Dill. He knew how it was with us.
And just forgot for a time.
Yes. And you are attractive, Mary. May I call you Mary? I can imagine Dill found you hard to resist.
Hard, but not impossible.
But it's not Dill I'm concerned about.
No.
After all, you're the one
Who lost?
Well, it amounts to just that, doesn't it?
Really, you're not flattering me, Mrs. Todd.
That's it, Shep, outside the ropes.
Let's go.
Can't we look at this thing impersonally?
Oh, of course. I'll be Exhibit A.
I like your saying that. To carry out the idea, I'll be Exhibit B.
And Dill, Exhibit C.
It's the new World's Fair, Shep. I'll sell you the popcorn concession.
Oh, Jeff.
I know you grew up with Dill. You were taking your marriage as a matter of course, just one of those things.
A love match.
I don't doubt your sincerity, Mary. But I should have married Dill a year ago.
Oh, what's a year, more or less?
When I heard he was going to marry you, I knew suddenly that I had to see Dill again. To know once and for all if he was important to me. Any woman would have done the same.
But not so successfully.
Do I detect a note of sarcasm?
Oh, not a bit. Oh, you have my best wishes. And so has the bridegroom.
Thank you. I wish you'd say that to Dill yourself. Heaven knows I want you to be friends with Dill. I know you can be. I think you're good for certain things in his disposition. Dill is accustomed to going to you. He needs you.
Well, he said he needed me.
Yes?
Yes, he said he needed me this afternoon.
This afternoon? Dill saw you this afternoon?
Yes, for the very thing you said, because he needed me.
Well, you two had a lot to talk about if Dill went to you.
Oh, I think he stopped by the church first to see if she was still waiting.
I see. It's not pleasant to be left waiting.
You should know, Mrs. Todd.
Really, should I?
When did you see Dill last?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, shortly after the wedding, wasn't it? Nearly 2 days. It's a long time for a bride of 2 hours.
How do you know that?
Dill told me.
You've seen? You know where he is? Where is he?
My house.
Where's that?
I've moved.
Answer me. Jeff, what have you planned, all of you? What have you planned?
It's not pleasant to be kept waiting.
Are you insinuating that
Oh, Connie, Jeff, please now don't quarrel for my sake. Fighting in a restaurant, it's vulgar.
What have you and Dylan planned?
Nothing.
Good. Because Dill and I understand each other. Why, this will all blow over. I know all about your childhood sweetheart. But now he's mine.
He's nobody's. He belongs to himself like any decent human being.
I think I can speak for Dill in that matter.
I resent that. I resent it for Dill.
You might ask him how much he resented what I said night before last.
Oh, you can't hurt me, Connie. Tell me what you said. Or shall I tell you? She'll make you such a good wife. That's what you said. A sweet girl. Go on, marry her, Dill. Forget me and better not think of the things that might have been. That's what you said, Connie. Well, probably not as plain as that, but with the same meaning. Hail and farewell, you said. No, don't kiss me, Dill. Remember Mary, poor dear Mary. And you swept him in with your tenderness. Oh, how beautifully you do it. And once again the world was lost for love.
And it always will be. You'd better learn that.
Rose or pink at your wedding, Connie? Which did you wear? Or blue or green or black or white?
Whatever I wore, it suited the occasion. A grown-up occasion and not for little girls. Good night, Miss Clay.
Good night to you, Mrs. Todd.
Well, you won.
Yes. Yes, I won. But for some reason it tastes a little bitter. Shall we dance, Mr. Tingle?
Delighted, Miss Clay. Excuse us, will you, Shep?
Have a good time, children.
Jeff, tell me, is it true what you said before she hasn't seen Dill?
Not since
He told you?
he went to my house when he left you.
Then at least he meant what he said to me.
He's been miserable, Mary.
Oh, has he? Are you going to tell me that-
Nothing. He deserves it.
Oh, let's stop, shall we? I don't feel like dancing.
Come on back to the table.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I guess I'm just all over.
Mary.
Dill, what are you doing here?
Mary, I couldn't stay away. I've got to speak to you.
Did you tell him to come here, Jeff?
Well, I told him you'd be here.
Why?
Well, he asked me and I told him, that's all.
Well, I guess I'd better wait outside.
No, Shep. Stay where you are. You too, Jeff. He can talk as much as he likes. Well,
Thanks. I won't take long, and I'll try not to embarrass anybody. It's just that I've got to say this.
yes.
It started a year ago.
With Connie?
Yes, in Europe. I saw her for months. Then, as suddenly as she came into my life, she went out of it. I felt disloyal to you even then. You see, I'd never thought of anyone but you since I was a kid. But something happened to me. I was fascinated, I guess. When I left for home, I promised her that... Mary, try to understand me. I was insanely in love with her. It didn't last. When I saw you again, my love for her seemed... well, it was unreal. That's all.
That's all. Is that the story you wanted to tell?
Wait a minute, Jeff.
She called me the night before our wedding. She was a little hysterical. She said she had to see me right away. I said I couldn't see her, that I wouldn't. Then I got to worrying. I thought I'd better go. Finally, I took her for a long drive up the Hudson. We talked and talked until morning. Just at dawn, we stopped and watched the sun come up from the Palisades. She told me she loved me over and over again. She was crying a little. I was confused and bewildered. And having her so near, well, I lost my head. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Mary, but I had to tell you the truth.
Well, your truth comes a little late, doesn't it?
Jeff.
You lost your head, huh? Getting married's a pretty deliberate action.
Jeff, this is my affair.
Take it easy, Jeff.
We did get married. Then for the first time, I realized what I'd done. We left the Justice of the Peace office, and it seemed to me like I was just coming out of a dream. I left her.
You left her? Then?
Yes, in the car. I took the train. I was crazy, Mary.
You left her. Then?
Mary, you do believe me, don't you? Say you do, please. I can't spend another night like last night.
You can't. Well, what about her?
Never mind about me.
Never mind you. Good Lord, Mary, there's a limit.
Yes, and there's a limit to what I can stand. He's sorry, isn't he? You heard him say that.
Yes, I know.
Well, that's enough. I don't care what he's done. I love him, do you hear? And he loves me.
I do, Mary. Believe
What if he
me.
did let me down?
I'm sorry, Mary.
Oh, I'm sorry, too. I love you, Dill. I love you.
Oh, Mary.
Well, that's that. Shep, may I have the honor of this dance?
We pause for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. We have finished the second act of Forsaking All Others. And now, before going into Act 3, we observe our custom of bringing you one of the backstage personalities of motion pictures. Among other things, Hollywood is noted for providing more strange occupations than any other town in the world. On our payroll are cobweb spinners, echo testers, fly chasers, professional screamers, and telephone cord untwisters. We meet one of these odd jobbers now. Her name is Kathleen Coghlan, and we call her our fan magazine contact. Kathleen gets paid for digging up unusual facts and ideas about the stars to be used in various screen magazines.
In other words, Mr. DeMille, my job is to find new angles on Paramount personalities, new slants that are news.
From the women's point of view?
Oh, no, from the man's point of view, too. Almost half our fan mail comes from men. That's why the fan magazines print so many success stories. That's the type the men like to read. And then there are those which appeal to both men and women, stories with what we call a problem slant. For example, the personal handicaps which many stars have had to overcome.
Meaning whom, Miss Coughlin?
Meaning Fred McMurray. To see Fred today on the set of Coconut Grove, you would never suspect that he used to be so shy he'd go into a panic every time he had to meet people. He cured himself by centering his attention on other people and so developed his present easy manner. How he did it furnishes an interesting story.
Still, I presume that today, as since the dawn of time, the type of story that interests a woman is a love story.
Correct. But she's interested in the love stories of the stars from much more than a curiosity angle. You see, that woman has a Robert Taylor or a Clark Gable or a Tyrone Power of her own. Someone she wants to fascinate and keep enchanted. And so we found that a reader's main interest in the love story of an actress is to learn the means by which that actress succeeded in her Hollywood romance. Hollywood, you see, has become a school, teaching a widely diversified list of subjects, and with all the world as its pupils. It's become a sort of national proving grounds, and that's why I think the sponsors of this program are to be congratulated on their product. The fact that Lux Toilet Soap is so popular with the stars can be taken by every girl as adequate proof that it must be about the finest complexion care obtainable. I've seen Lux Soap in the dressing rooms and homes of any number of stars, actresses who could afford to spend almost any amount of money.
Thanks for telling us that, Kathleen. But your job is to get good ideas for fan magazines. The 14 of them that appear every month have a combined circulation of 10 million. Each one prints about 10 articles, which means that out of somewhere must arise 140 ideas every 30 days. Where do they come from?
Well, take that recent article called The Story of Claudette Colbert's Second Honeymoon, which appeared in Photoplay magazine while Claudette was making Bluebeard's eighth wife. In reality, that story outlines her plans for a trip she's now on in Europe. That in itself wouldn't make what we'd call hot copy, but it suddenly became warm when Miss Colbert dropped a stray remark that she hadn't had a honeymoon because she'd been so busy making pictures. Then and there we had the basis for an article that would interest thousands, again because it could be applied to themselves. All brides, of course, don't have to hurry back home to make motion pictures, but all of them in their hearts want the romance of a honeymoon, even if it's only a 2-week vacation. That's why such a story is so successful.
But do our leading stars welcome interviews of that nature?
Every star will give a good interview if the conditions are right. Conditions are right for Fred McMurray when he comes into my office, drops down in my chair, and props his feet up on the desk. Carol Lombard is highly conversational in a noisy atmosphere and talks most on the set between scenes. Irene Dunn prefers to wait until her picture is finished and then will entertain graciously at home for the interviewer. Gary Cooper is most uncomfortable when an interview has been planned for him. He's much more helpful if you can arrange to just bump into him. In fact, Gary gave the finest interview of his career, basking in the sun on a pile of old lumber. There's a little tip for the next time Gary appears in the Lux Radio Theater. Thanks, Mr. DeMille, for interviewing an interviewer.
Thanks for the starlight, Kathleen. Betty Davis and Joel McRae return to us in Forsaking All Others. One month has passed, and Dylan Todd is in Mexico to free himself from Connie. Jeff, always the good friend, has gone along to keep him company and stands by the window of their hotel room, looking across the little town.
Well, tomorrow's the day. Hey, Jeff.
Hmm?
I said tomorrow's the day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Are you sure?
That lawyer said positively. Final papers and everything. Lord, I'll be glad to get out of here.
Why, it's not such a bad place.
What are you talking about? You've been beefing about it for a month. Now we're going home, you suddenly take a liking to it. Just the same, we're catching that train tomorrow afternoon.
Well, I'll tell you what, dear. Would you mind very much if you went alone? I think I'd like to stay on here for a while.
What for?
Well, just for a few weeks. I think I'd like it.
You're crazy. Why, if you stay... You won't even make the wedding. Mary would kill you.
No, I'll make it all right.
You'd better. You're still best man, you know.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I thought maybe you'd pick Shep.
What's the matter? Don't you want to be best man?
Well, if it's all the same to you, Dill, I think everything ought to be, different. You mind?
No. No, of course not. I guess I know what you mean. It will be different, too.
Sure it will.
Well, I think I'll shoot an airmail to Mary. Shall I give her your love?
Oh, yes, do that, will you? Hello, Dent.
Mr. Tingle, welcome back, sir.
Thanks. Am I expected?
Oh, yes, sir. I heard Mr. Todd say you'd probably be here today.
Jeff!
Hello, Mary.
Jeff, you finally got here. I was ready to kill you. Do you know I'm getting married tomorrow?
Same place, same piano, same crowd, same wedding.
Same Jeff.
It's good to be back.
Come on, I want to speak to you. Now tell me all about yourself.
No, there's nothing much to tell.
How was Mexico? How are you?
Feeble.
Let me look at you. Jeff, you're thinner.
No, I got too much sleep down there.
Well, you didn't dare sleep before you reported here.
No, I tried to, but I couldn't, so I leapt out of bed and fixed myself up cute and rushed right over.
Oh, you did? Well, you can go right back home again. Oh, I got your wretched little postcard.
Did I send you a postcard?
Just too sweet for words. Where is it? Oh, yes. Yes, here it is. A whole month away in one postcard. At least I had the sense not to write to you.
Oh, I read your letters to Dill. It's good the judge didn't know he was getting letters from a giddy young girl. Is that my postcard you're tearing up? The pretty picture of the lake?
That's what I think of your pretty picture?
Well, at least you waited until I got here.
Just for the stamp.
Oh, well, I've got something to tear up, too.
What's that?
Your last letter to Dill. He gave it to me for my stamp collection. Too bad I hadn't read it yet.
Jefferson Tingle, I ought to slap your insufferable face.
Well, you better not. I've been down in a country where a slap in the face means business. Say, where's Dill?
Oh, he's around. We're both trying not to look self-conscious, so we steer clear of each other in front of company. Oh, it's good to see you, Jeff. It makes me feel good.
Dr. Tingle at your service. How are you, really?
Feeble, Moss Tingle, feeble.
No, I don't believe it. What'd you do while I was away?
Well, I caught up with my classical reading. I went shopping and didn't buy anything. Shep and I tore up the town. We became famous far and wide. That pale, interesting woman and that very young-looking boy.
Is he the best man?
Yes.
Too bad I won't be here.
What?
Well, now, don't yell. I've got to eat. I've got a job, and the boss suggests I work at it a bit now and then. He's sending me out of town tonight.
We'll delay the wedding.
I'm flattered, but you won't.
Oh, but I won't see married unless you're there.
Oh, I'm a jinx. If I stay away, everything will go all right.
Will it? I wonder.
What's the matter?
Are you good at diagnosis, Dr. Tingle?
Very. What are your symptoms?
A sort of unsatisfactory few weeks I've had. I've straightened out every dresser drawer and every closet in this house. I don't suppose that means anything to you, does it?
Well, certainly you're a neat woman. Go on. You probably counted the linen, too.
Oh, a lot of the good old stuff Mother had was mildewed. I was so mad I cried.
And then one rainy day up in the attic?
You'd be mortified to know that I did spend such an afternoon. I sat in the middle of my ancestral trunks and bawled.
Oh, what over?
I've just told you. Over the fact that life was far from satisfactory.
Didn't you feel better afterward?
No.
Well, what's the sticker, Mary?
Whether or not I should marry Dill.
What? Well, have you said anything to Dill?
No, what is there to say until I've made up my mind one way or another?
Well, you haven't much time, less than 24 hours. Make up your mind. Either you are or you aren't. You ought to know.
Yes, Papa.
Say, are you one of these women who worry themselves into a fever trying to decide between pink and green? Haven't you got enough strength of character to know what it is you want and ask for it for a loud, clear voice?
A loud, clear voice. That's easy to say. Because you know what to ask for and I don't. That's the difference, Jefferson. Your life seems very simple to me.
Well, that's because I'm a very complex person. I see more than floats on the surface. I've practiced holding my breath for 3 minutes and walking around on the bottom with my eyes open. And you can do it, too. I've always considered you a person who knew the passwords. I've watched you out of the corner of my eye. You're shocked by the right things, stupidity and glitter and cheap sophistication. But this marriage business has you all mixed up. One of your little pet illusions cracked up about a month ago, and it's got you down. Well, you've got to patch it up again. You've got to keep your pet illusions, and you've got to make them shatterproof.
Wait till I get my copybook, and I'll write all this down.
No. Either you know it or you don't. You don't get it by writing it down, and you don't get it out of books either.
Then how is a poor girl to get it?
Listen, you know what I'm talking about, and if you didn't, you wouldn't be trying to joke about it. You'd be cussing me out because you'd think I was saying you weren't sophisticated. And in this day and age, to say that to a person is to insult him to his non-existent soul.
Well, I know the truly wise is simple. But it doesn't necessarily follow that the simple are truly wise.
You're not being simple now. You've got to make up your mind. Do you want Dill or don't you?
I told you I don't know.
Mary, what is this? You're not trying to get even with Dill.
I thought you knew me better than that.
No, I do. You're above that.
Thanks. If I weren't and I found out that I didn't love him, the best way to get even would be to marry him, wouldn't it?
No, but you wouldn't do that.
Of course I wouldn't.
Mary, I don't know what this is all about.
Neither do I. I told you I didn't.
Well, have you spoken to anyone else?
Oh, I couldn't. Still, I can speak about it to you. It's funny, isn't it?
Well, we're old friends.
Oh, that must be it.
Well,
Well,
what's your problem, Mary? And it's a big one. You haven't much time to decide.
the minister's coming in a few minutes to make the final arrangement.
Well, whatever you do decide, it'll be right. I know that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Goodbye, Mary.
Bye.
Well, where to now?
Go around the park again.
Okay, well, that makes 4 trips around.
Go on. You're getting paid for it. I got all day and all week, and I'm not in a hurry.
Okay, Lonesome.
What?
Remember me? I remember you.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah, Lonesome Dingle. All the time a best man. I picked you up on Park Avenue once, remember?
Oh, yes.
Lonesome Dingle. That killed me. I thought you were screwed.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Turn around.
Huh?
Go back to the house where you picked me up and step on it.
But I thought you said about...
Go on.
Okay.
Oh, why, Mr. Tingle.
Oh, where's Miss Mary, Dent?
She's in the library.
Thanks. Mary.
Well, glad to see you back, Mr. Tingle. We've got your old room ready for you.
Oh, well, thanks. The conductor said 30 minutes for lunch, so I thought I'd get off and talk to the pretty waitress.
That's nice. Sit down.
Listen, Mary, I've been thinking, and I want to ask you something. Well, if you want to laugh at me when it's all over, I'll laugh with you, because maybe it's hilarious, only I don't think so now.
Go on.
Well, when I left here before, I realized I'd turn tail and run from the most important thing I'd ever had to make up my mind about.
Is it made up now?
Yes, it is. The taxi driver did it. He called me Lonesome Dingo, and that's what I am. And you know why. Because I never took my own advice. I never yelled out for what I wanted in a loud, clear voice. Well, I'm doing it now. Listen, Mary, if you do change your mind about Dill, if you aren't going to marry him, sometime after a decent interval, only I hope the interval won't be too long or too decent, would it ever occur to you to marry me?
Yes, Jefferson, it would.
Of course it would. Why not? Jefferson Dingle, that charming old fellow. Wouldn't it be amusing to think of being married to him at some time or other? Well, all right, Mary. Let me know. My office will give you my address any time in the next 3 weeks.
So you didn't mean it?
Did you?
Yes.
I did mean it.
So did I.
Mary.
Jeff.
What's happened?
I don't know. Have I always loved you? I must have.
Oh, we've got to find Dill and tell him.
He's still here. We'll tell him together.
Wait. Let me have a look at you. That Tingle chap fell into a pretty good thing.
So did that Clay girl.
Mary, where in heaven's name have you been?
Here, dear, why?
Well, you might have let me know. Your friend Paula's been on my trail all day, bawling me out for I don't know what. What is this mysterious thing known as my duty to you? Just what have you suffered that I don't know about? Don't you think I've had a little private suffering of my own?
Well, I didn't sick Paul onto you, dear. You know how she loves to manage destinies. I thought you knew it was best to seem devoutly grateful and then go your own little way. You haven't any duty to me, and I've forgotten that I've ever had a single pang.
Well, all right, Mary. You mustn't mind my getting all steamed up. Sorry to let you in for all this, Jeff, but after all, you were in from the start, and you have a right to be in at the finish. Please excuse me, Mary.
And you must try to excuse me. Dill, I don't know how to put it, except that I'm not going to marry you tomorrow.
What? Oh, well, that's all right, Mary. If you want to wait a little while, I understand.
No, Dill, I'm not going to marry you at all.
Why not? Why not, Mary?
Dill, Mary's going to marry me.
You and... All right, children.
It's
all
not
right.
a joke.
Not one of Jeff's ideas?
It's both our ideas.
I don't believe it. I'll never believe it. You're kidding.
Wait a minute, Dill.
Cut it out, Jeff. Do you mean it, Mary?
Yes, Dill.
Then I am a complete fool. Congratulations on making me one.
Oh, Dill, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't say that. You can't be sorry. Not if you're marrying that fine chap, that true friend, Jefferson Tingle. What I can't understand, Jeff, is why you went all the way to Mexico to get me free.
Wait a minute, Dill. This has happened to Jeff and me in the last half hour, We haven't had time to tell you.
Yes, but you were going to tell me. How considerate. Perhaps you can tell me something I can tell my friends.
Oh, Dill, don't say such things. We've always had so much fun together. Dill, that's it. We were getting married on the strength of the past.
So I'm just a friend. Is that it? Just a friend that stuck his hand in the buzzsaw for you to find out if it was sharp. So you want to marry Jeff Tingle instead of me. Is that it?
That's it, Dill.
All right. But promise me this. Don't ever talk about me. And give me time to get out of town.
There goes Dylan Todd.
I'm sorry. You know, Jeff, he didn't think of me at all. I'm glad of that.
Why?
Because then I won't have to sit up nights worrying about him.
I think he took it nobly.
Don't you think I took it kind of nobly when he let me down?
As far as I'm concerned, I think you take everything nobly.
Jeff, you're not going to start complimenting me at this late date.
Well, Miss Clay, my position is slightly altered. As a bridegroom, I hardly know what to say.
Darling.
Miss Mary, Reverend Duncan is calling about plans for tomorrow.
Oh, the minister. Jeff, kiss me.
Good afternoon, Miss Clay.
Good afternoon, Reverend Duncan.
And this is Mr. Dylan Todd?
Well, not exactly.
What?
I mean, there's been a slight substitution. Mr. Tingle for Mr. Todd.
We take leave of our play, Forsaking All Others, and devote the next 2 or 3 moments to a meeting with our stars, Betty Davis and Joel McCrae. A couple of weeks ago, Miss Davis, the Hollywood columnist Jimmy Starr reported on this microphone that you've just moved into your new home.
Good work, CB, but don't stop there.
Don't whisper, Joel. Speak up if there's anything on your mind.
Oh, no, not a thing.
Well, you know, Joel here is in the cattle business, and after all, Betty, what is home without a cow?
Now, Mr. DeMille, what would I want with a cow?
I'm sure I don't know, Betty. I'm only trying to help Joel out. He said that if...
Well, Betty, a cow... Well, you see, a cow is... Why, well, anyway, they're swell. They're quiet and restful, and they have big brown eyes, and I'm sure if you saw the one
Joel, I don't wish to buy a cow.
Oh, you don't wish to buy a cow?
No.
Oh. Well, how about a horse?
No.
Well, can I at least sell you a load of hay?
It's very good hay, Betty.
You two aren't partners by any chance.
No, not exactly. You see, I own a herd of deer.
But I don't want any deer either.
No, but they eat so much hay that Joel said he'd give me all I need if I helped him sell you a cow.
Oh. I see. Just a couple of boys in the movie business.
Maybe we'd better change the subject, Mr. DeMille.
No, wait a minute, Joel. Since you and I have formed a sort of mutual admiration society for our friend Willie Wyler, why don't you send a cow to him as a token of your esteem?
Excuse me, Betty, but Mr. Wyler has interrupted his picture directing and is now in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Yes, far, far away from Hollywood with nothing to do but ski and ice skate and toboggan. Poor man. That's why I think a cow might be just the thing to keep his spirits up.
Tell me, Betty, is it true that after directing you in Jezebel, poor Mr. Wyler had to go away for a rest?
Oh, don't be silly, Joel. I'm the one who had to have the rest. You've worked with Willie, you should know.
My secret agents informed me, Betty, that the real reason you worked night and day was to enable your co-star, Henry Fonda, to dash to New York and be there at the time he became a papa.
That's quite true. And in appreciation of our efforts, Henry promised to name the baby Jezebel. But he double-crossed us and named her Jane Seymour Fonda instead. I don't know, I suppose that's better. Jane's really kind of nicer than Jezzy.
By the way, didn't Henry play in Forsaking All Others on Broadway?
That's right, Joel. He was hardly more than an extra then. And now, 5 short years later, he's right up among our leading men. But getting back to you. Now, just what is all this about your ranch?
Well, the best way to find out is to come up and have a look for yourself.
A real ranchman? Corrals and roundups and wooden bathtubs, too, I suppose.
Well, not quite that authentic, Betty. I'll own up to one small swimming pool.
Well, speaking of bathtubs...
And goodness knows you're the one to speak of bathtubs, Mr. DeMille.
Well, anyway, I was about to remark that the first bathtub in this country almost caused a minor revolution. Its presence in the home of a Cincinnati gentleman in the 1840s brought forth a storm of protest from politicians, newspapers, and the medical profession. It was denounced as an Epicurean innovation designed to corrupt the democratic simplicity of the Republic. Not long after, the Philadelphia Common Council went into a turmoil over a proposed ordinance prohibiting bathing between November 1st and March 15th. It failed to become a law by only 2 votes.
That's lucky for you, sir. This is the 20th century. Lux soap would have found it rather rough sledding back there in the unscrubbed 40s. And lucky for us, too. I'm very happy to say that Lux soap is the soap in our new home.
Well, thank you, Betty.
And thank you, sir, for inviting me here to play Forsaking All Others. Many of you will remember the stage production with Miss Tallulah Bankhead, whose performance is one I know I shall never forget. And now, good night.
Good night, C.B.
Good night, Betty. So long, cowboy. And now I have some wonderful news for you. Next week, we bring you the great W.C. Fields. The old guard that never surrenders. Beneath the magnificent flaming canopy that is his nose, there beats the heart of a Don Quixote. He's the ghost of the old family album, come back to shake the world with laughter. He's the last stand of old-fashioned chivalry and wisteria-draped sentiment. His speech gushes with 18-carat invective and 18th century elegance. He's the minstrel boy in top hat and velvet collar, slightly frayed. He's that glorious charlatan, W.C. Fields. We dispatched an invitation to Mr. Fields to be with us next Monday night, and by carrier pigeon, Mr. Fields has sent his acceptance and will reenact his great screen success, Poppy, assisted by Anne Shirley, Skeets Gallagher, and John Payne. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents W.C. Fields in Poppy with Anne Shirley, Skeets Gallagher, and John Payne. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Showing the play appears the courtesy of Samuel Goldwyn and Louis Silvers, new 20th Century Fox Studios, where he directed music for the new film Sally, Irene, and Mary. Heard during tonight's program was Sweet Someone from Love and Hisses. Your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Come in. Welcome. I am E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the sound of suspense, to the fear you can hear. What do you think about witches? Not the bony hags and atrocious crones of Shakespeare and legend, or the poor unfortunates of Salem, but witches who are young, witches who are beautiful, witches who even fall in love.
Excuse me.
Who let you in here?
Well, I hope I'm not disturbing you.
I'm only trying to make a deadline.
Well, if you're in the news business, I've got something for you.
It better be good.
I'm going to have to kill my wife.
That won't be news till you do it.
I know. I want you to know why.
Okay. Why?
Because she's a witch.
Our mystery drama, I Warn You 3 Times, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dan and stars Joan Loring. I'll be back shortly with Act 1. It's one of those miserable, stormy nights in the dead of winter. A thick, clinging, wet snow seems determined to smother the entire earth and everyone on it. You'd think that most people would choose the cheerful indoors, a warming fire, a relaxing drink, a comfortable bed. That's the problem with most people. You can't figure them. For instance, consider that line of cars crawling down Main Street, bumper to bumper, skidding, sliding. Where is everybody headed on a night like this? Have we become a race of lemmings? Do we follow some mysterious, unconscious drive? An interesting speculation, but we won't pursue it. We'd better consider the traffic, which has come to a complete standstill. A car seems to be stuck at the intersection.
Let's go, sister. That light's green.
Oh, officer.
Well, what are you waiting for, lady?
My husband.
Your husband?
The light was red, and he said he wanted to step out and clean off the rear window.
Hey, mister. You finished back there?
He just stepped out. It was a moment ago. Tom?
Well, maybe he slipped in the snow.
Tom, are you all right?
Lady, there ain't nobody around the back.
But he just went out.
Yeah, to clean the rear window. That's what you said.
But what could have happened?
Just sit there a minute, lady. Hey, lay off of that horn. I know you got one.
What's wrong, officer?
Did you see a guy get out of that car up?
Did I see a guy get out of the car?
Yeah. Did you? Huh?
Are the police after someone in a skate
Oh,
car?
come on, Buster. Just tell me. Did you see a guy cleaning off the rear window of that car up front?
Well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't paying any attention. I was listening to the radio. Now, there could have been somebody, but then again, I couldn't say there was. It's not that I'm not trying to get involved, officer. I'm a citizen. I know my duty, but...
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Officer, where is my husband? He was just there.
Lady, he disappeared.
How could he disappear?
I don't know. I do know he ain't here.
What am I going to do?
Well, you can't keep blocking traffic, lady. You got to move on.
Where?
Well, it beats me.
But you must find him.
Look, you got troubles with your husband. That's your problem. But when you hold up traffic, that's my problem. Will you feed her a little gas, please? Come on, let's go.
But I can't.
Lady, you got to go somewhere.
I can't go anywhere. I don't know how to drive.
Desk, Lieutenant Carroll. Yeah. Nobody wants this guy, you say? Well, technically, that isn't true. His wife wants him. Okay. Well, look who's here.
Lieutenant?
You won't win any Pulitzer Prizes around this joint tonight, Peterson.
I was hoping you might have a little bone to throw me.
Page 1.
I'll settle for 2 inches on the bottom of page 38.
If you promise to remember 2 R's and 1 L. First name Irvin, not Irving. Lieutenant Irvin Carroll. We may have something shaping up.
Ah.
I don't know where it can go. Everywhere or nowhere.
What have I got to lose?
Sitting over there on the first bench.
Ooh, that's nice.
And married.
Well, you win, you lose.
A very, very weird story.
Tell me about it.
No. Let her tell you about it. Why don't you ask her?
Excuse me.
Oh.
My name is Fred Peterson. I'm a reporter for the Union Messenger.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk to a reporter.
Why not?
Because
you're afraid? Why?
Could you put Tom's picture in the paper?
Well, that depends. Has Tom done anything?
He's disappeared.
Well, we'd need the how, the when, the where.
The when? About an hour ago. Where? On Route 986 at Main Street. How? I don't know. You see, we were driving south. It was snowing hard, and he said, I can't see out the rear window. The light was red. He stepped outside to wipe it off. He didn't come back.
Where did he go?
I don't know.
Well, where could he go?
I don't know.
In that snow. And there's nothing around there? Could you give me a why?
I can't imagine. I don't know what to do. I sit here waiting. Look, my name is Hetty Parsons. Tom and I, we've been married 5 years. We don't have any problems. I mean, we're very happy. If you print his picture in the story, maybe someone will see it who can help us.
Excuse me a minute.
Well?
Yeah. think I'll run with it.
I don't blame you. I was always partial to girls with honey-colored hair and baby blue eyes.
Ah, so you noticed, too. Have you run a check on her husband, Tom Parsons?
Well, he's not one of the known bad boys. No record at all.
And what did she say he did?
He's an accountant. He has his own business in the Barstow building.
You looked him up in the phone book?
Checks out.
They were headed south, huh?
That's what she says.
If it was a trip, there should have been bags.
There were.
His and hers?
His and hers.
How does it look?
What do you want from me? I don't solve crimes. I sit here behind the desk.
Come on, Lieutenant.
Now, this is one for you, Fred. How could a guy disappear just like that?
And in that storm. There's no place to go.
He could have had a car following in back of them. A friend was driving it, maybe?
Well, he had to go somewhere. But why?
Right now, we're treating it as missing persons. It's all we can do. He's not wanted for anything. He's a legitimate citizen, as far as we know. He hasn't even done anything to her. At worst, he left her in a car. He hasn't even deserted her. Yet.
Who was driving?
He was. She can't.
Well, that's abandoning her, isn't it?
No. At best, we'd have him for abandoning the car.
Yeah, excuse me a minute. Listen, Mrs. Parsons.
Yes.
Why don't you go home? I've got my car outside.
Oh, no. I want to be here in case they find Tom.
They'll let you know if they find him.
No, I don't want to be home alone tonight. I just want to stay here.
But it may be hours. It may be even days.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry.
I'm just so jumpy and so nervous. I can't believe what's happened to me.
Well, if you're going to sit here, you should have some coffee and a sandwich.
Oh, I couldn't think of food.
I'll be right back. Hey there, Officer Dennis.
Well, look who's here, the friendly reporter.
Yeah, listen, that girl.
Yeah, I was going to ask what girl, but I won't.
Yeah, I want to start at the beginning.
Oh, well, you know, Lieutenant Carroll's got 2 R's, but Patrolman Dennett's got 2 N's.
Yeah. What did happen?
Well, like she said, he went out to clean the rear window, and he was gone.
Anybody see him?
I checked the car and back, but who looks, who notices?
Where could he have gone to around here?
Well, on the south side, you got open fields. On this side, a couple of warehouse buildings blocked up.
Night watchman?
Yeah, he's a retired cop. No sign of anybody trying to break in, to hide, or whatever he may have wanted to do.
Okay, so what could have happened to the guy?
Well, it's all very interesting, but in 15 minutes I go off duty, and I won't have to worry about it.
Oh, thanks. I didn't think I could touch a thing, but I must have been starving. Has there been any word?
Yeah, you'll hear the minute they know. Now listen, Hetty, I can help you, but you have to help me.
I'll do whatever I can.
We have 2 basic roads to explore. 1, somebody was out to get your husband.
Oh, no. No. Tom is the mildest, sweetest, most obliging guy on earth. He has absolutely no enemy.
That you know about.
Tom and I have no secrets from each other.
Everybody has at least one enemy.
Tom is incapable of hurting anyone in any way.
He sounds too good to be true.
If he does have a problem, that's it.
All right. The second road to explore. He wasn't pushed, he jumped.
What does that mean?
It means he walked out on you.
Oh, it's inconceivable.
Why?
I've had a liberal education tonight, Mr. Peterson.
Call me Fred.
No, not yet, or maybe never. I've been introduced to a new world. I've been thrown in with people who basically don't believe in anyone, don't trust anyone, and perhaps they have good cause. Perhaps that's how life is in their world. Perhaps their world is the real world, but it isn't my world.
May I ask, do you come from another world?
It's entirely possible. I won't call you Fred unless and until we become friends. But that's just a little thing. The policeman who brought me here is a confirmed cynic. So is the lieutenant. And so are you.
I must plead guilty as charged.
All of you proposed 2 basic hypotheses. A, my husband was ambushed by enemies. B, my husband abandoned me. You can't conceive of people who... they simply don't make or have enemies. You can't conceive of people who are completely in love. I'm not a fool, Mr. Peterson. I read these attitudes.
What a wonderful world you live in, Mrs. Parsons. I hope you can stay there always.
We're so dependent on each other, Tom and I. We need each other. We're so complete together.
But we still have the basic fact of his disappearance.
Yes, but all you can see are two alternatives. There is a third, you know.
Really?
Perhaps he was taken ill suddenly and he just wandered off. Oh, maybe I should go back there.
I've already been back there. There's no place he could have wandered off to. Tell me, does he have a history of any sort of illness, amnesia, anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Well, then, where are we? Nowhere.
Perhaps you are nowhere, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, tell me where you are.
I have faith. I believe Tom will be found, or he will find himself, and he will have an absolutely reasonable and rational explanation.
I hope so.
Hetty!
Oh!
Hetty!
Tom! Oh, Tom, darling. Tom, what happened to you? I was so scared. Oh, darling, you're all right?
Hetty, are you all right?
Yes.
I don't understand. I happened to tune in the news, and there it was. Tom Parsons, accountant, with offices in the Barstow building, had disappeared under mysterious circumstances.
Tom, I was so worried.
Mr. Parsons was driving with his wife. He stepped out of the car to clean off the rear window, and... Hetty, what did you tell them? I wasn't in the car with you. I was at home.
Well, here we have the story of two people who love each other deeply, who trust each other completely. It sounds like the Garden of Eden. But we all know what happened back there in the traffic and the snow. We shall return shortly with Act Two. You've seen these couples, or rather heard of them. They dwell in a sea of perfect harmony, never a ripple of discord. But when they do have a disagreement, well, it's a beaut. Here we have Fred Peterson listening to Hetty and Tom Parsons having a fantastic difference of opinion.
Tom, how can you say that?
Hetty, darling, I was not in the car with you. I was home. Home.
You said, let's get out of this miserable cold and snow. Let's head south for a couple of weeks.
Hetty, when did I say that? How could I say that? You know I'm swamped with work at the office.
You came home this afternoon, Tom. You said, how would you like to leave for Florida tonight? And I said, give me an hour to pack.
Excuse me.
Who's he?
Oh, he's just...
I'm just Fred Peterson of the Union Messenger.
A reporter?
Oh, please, don't be alarmed. I assure you it's a thoroughly respectable profession.
Well, I see no point in emblazoning this all over the newspapers.
Is there anything to emblazon, as you put it?
This is a private affair.
Tom, tell me what happened. What happened to you after you left me?
Hetty, I told you I never left.
Tom.
How could I have left you? I wasn't with you.
Oh, no, Tom. This time I have witnesses. The police officer, he knows you went out to clear the rear window.
How does he know?
Because
Because you told him.
Mr. Parsons, now, obviously your wife seems distraught. I would suggest...
Keep your suggestions to yourself, Mr. Peterson. Don't you dare imply that I'm overwrought or nervous or hysterical. I am completely calm, extremely rational, and absolutely in command of myself. I know what happened this evening.
Mr. Peterson, this is obviously a private matter between my wife and me, and nobody's business but ours.
What did you mean, Mrs. Parsons, when you said that this time you had witnesses? Have there been other times when...
Hetty, it doesn't do us any good to air this in public.
All right, Tom. Take me home.
Let me talk to that officer at the desk there. Find out if there's anything we have to do.
Well?
Well, what?
Friend, husband, Tom. He didn't turn out to be quite as advertised.
And what is that supposed to mean?
He isn't quite the sweetest, mildest, most obliging guy on earth, is he?
He is to me.
I guess it's all a matter of how these words are defined, isn't it? And about this oh-so-complete understanding between the two of you. Won't you at least admit you're having a difference of opinion right now?
I don't have to admit anything.
Okay, don't shoot. I'll go quietly. Are you sure you really want me to go?
Please.
Regardless of what you say to me. You are in trouble. No, don't deny it.
Well, what if I am?
I'd like to help you.
Why?
Because...
Would you want to help me if I were middle-aged and fat and sloppy and ugly?
It isn't 10 minutes ago. You accused me of living in a world where no one trusted the next fellow or believed in him. You accused me of being a confirmed cynic. Is it possible you don't remember what you say from 1 minute to the next?
I'm sorry.
Don't be. There's a great deal to what you said.
You're kind, but no one can help you.
I could try.
And no one should try either.
Why not?
It's too dangerous.
That was the wrong thing to say to me.
I'm warning you.
You're only getting me in deeper.
Please,
For
Fred.
openers, my business is to take chances and get myself into... Hey, you know what happened?
What?
You called me Fred.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have.
But you did. And that means we're friends.
Look, I only want...
You're the one who set up the ground rules for this thing. First names are for friends only.
Please, forget what happened here tonight. I warn you.
You've already warned me twice. It won't work.
I can only warn you 3 times.
Do you mean you keep score?
Please don't joke, Fred.
You keep saying the wrong word, or I should say the wrong name. The wrong name is Fred. You can't call me Fred and expect me to forget everything.
I warn you. I warn you for the 3rd time. Forget all about tonight for your own sake, for your own safety.
And after saying all that, you still expect me to forget about it.
Tell my husband I'll wait for him outside in the car.
Wait a minute, Hetty.
I warned you, Fred. I warned you 3 times. Now, goodbye.
Where's my wife?
She said she'd meet you in the car.
Mr. Peterson, if I were you, I'd forget everything that happened tonight.
Is that a threat?
No. A warning.
That's all I've been getting around here, warnings.
Well, for your own good, take them seriously.
And if I don't?
You'll regret it for the rest of your life, which may not be a long one.
You still insist that you're not threatening me?
I'm only trying to help you.
Really? And why should you do that?
Why? I don't know why. Maybe it's because the last guy tried to help me.
What last guy?
I didn't listen to him.
The last guy? What do you mean?
Nothing. Forget it.
You know, with you and your wife, it seems, everything turns out to be nothing and forget it.
I don't think it matters now. I have an idea it's already too late for you. I'm sorry. Good night, Mr. Peterson.
Hey, Fred.
Fred?
Yeah, Lieutenant, I'm coming.
Well?
Well, what?
There's nothing there for us boys in blue. What's in it for the 4th Estate?
Looks like he's trying to drive her nuts.
It could also be the other way around.
I don't think so.
Because of that honey-colored blonde hair?
Lieutenant, you always know where the exposed nerve is.
Just stop and figure it. Couldn't this also be her way of trying to drive him nuts?
As a reporter, I would have to say yes.
But, as a man?
I don't know.
Well, you got a problem, Fred. How are you going to tackle it? As a reporter? Or as a man?
Good morning.
Oh, Fred, what are you doing here?
Won't you ask me to come in?
Well,
You could also offer me a cup of coffee. It's been a long drive on a cold morning.
Oh, well, I suppose you might as well come inside.
How gracious.
I'm sorry. I'm still upset, and you should know why. Come into the kitchen. I was just pouring myself a cup.
Thanks. Charming place you have here.
Thank you. I suppose Tom is generous enough when it comes to money and things.
The implication being that he is not generous when it comes to what?
Fred, if you insist on talking about Tom, I'll have to ask you to leave.
Okay, let's talk about you.
No. We can't talk about me either.
What can we talk about?
The weather, politics, sports. You'd be surprised. I'm a very well-informed person. We could talk about art or literature.
I didn't come here to talk about those things.
I know why you came here.
Do you?
Fred, I'm a married woman.
But you're not a happily married woman.
I'm happy enough.
Okay. Let me tell you why I'm here. As a reporter, that is. It doesn't happen very often that you get a chance to be in on a story before it's a story. You follow me?
No.
Last night, all I could have gotten out of it might have been a squib on the back page, or maybe nothing. But something's happening here. Something's building. I don't know what it is. But one of you is lying. One of you is trying to destroy the other.
And you think you can stop it?
Oh, no, that's not my job. But there's going to be an explosion. And I want to be there when it blows. Because then I'll have a story.
And that's all this is. That's all I am to you. A story.
I was talking as a reporter. But as a man...
Yes?
As a man, I'd like to help you, Hetty.
Even if it meant losing your story?
Yes.
I'd like to believe that.
Why can't you?
I tried to warn you, Fred.
Look, we had all that last night.
I can't warn you anymore, but remember, I did warn you.
Yeah, sure.
Don't brush it aside, Fred.
Hetty, on the general subject of warnings, I've had a few in my day. From gangsters, from politicians. I mean from people who had clout.
But I did warn you.
Look, if you want me to, I'll sign a receipt. Let the record show that you warned me.
You were right. He is trying to destroy me.
Ah, finally. Why?
I don't know.
Okay, let's go through the standards. Is he after your money?
I don't have any.
Another woman?
I don't think so.
Is he tired of you?
I don't know.
Well, none of this is very helpful.
I'm sorry.
What was this business you were giving me back in the station house about your perfect marriage, about your perfect husband?
Because he is. It's just... Well, now and then he imagines things like last night.
What's now and then?
Oh, every few months. One time he stranded me up in Maine. Another time we were supposed to go to Europe. He told me he would be delayed and to get on the plane he would make the next one. And there I was, all by myself in Paris. He denied everything.
Has he seen a doctor?
Yes.
And?
It hasn't done any good.
Is he overworked?
Oh, yes.
Well, maybe he needs a long vacation.
I'm sure of it.
It all sounds pretty simple to me, except for one little item. Why have you insisted on warning me?
Because it was the right thing to do.
I don't understand. First, you imply that everything is so simple. Then, when I start to believe it, you drop a little suggestion that throws me off balance. I can't seem to get anything definite out of you.
Oh, but you did.
What was that?
A warning.
Lieutenant Carroll?
Hey, Lieutenant.
Hey, how goes the Parson case?
How did you know I was going to ask you about the
That
part?
honey blonde hair.
Does it really show that much?
Pal, you are hooked.
You know something? That's true. And she may even be playing me like a fish.
So what can I do for you?
Well, no crime has been committed yet, but you can bet there's one on the way.
Well, till then, we're handcuffed around here.
Sure, but you got all the facts.
What facts?
I mean, you can get at them in a routine way. Work up both of them, some past histories.
That's spending the taxpayers' money.
You spend the taxpayers' money every day. Something's ready to blow up there. Just be ready for it. That's all I'm asking.
Actually, Fred, if you want the truth, we've already started.
And?
Keep in touch.
Yeah?
They said you're in this office.
Well, look who's here. Tom, the piper's son. Come on in, sit down.
Mr. Peterson, I've decided to tell you everything. Because I know you're in love with my wife.
Oh, wait a minute.
Now, there are all kinds of meaningless expressions. Wait a minute, see here, hold on, or a few. Let's dispense with them.
You can't accuse me.
I don't accuse you. I state a fact.
Well, now, let's be fair. I only met your wife last night. I admit she's attractive. I don't even know her.
That's what I told him.
That's what you told who?
The last guy. The last guy she was married to. I wish I knew how to start this.
Well, start at the beginning.
Okay. I'm an accountant. You're a reporter. Both of us are men of the world. I mean this world. You live on facts. I live on figures. So how can I tell you? How can I expect you to believe me when I say that Hetty isn't a human being at all?
She isn't?
No. She's a witch.
A witch? Yes.
That's what he said. A witch. But how can it be? Wasn't all that witch business over and done with more than 200 years ago? Well, that's what we intend to find out shortly when I return with Act 3. Tom Parsons and Fred Peterson sit in a newspaper office. Both are young, alert, stylishly dressed, every bit the modern, sophisticated men of today. And yet, the subject, the very serious subject under discussion is witchcraft, of all things.
Well, it isn't every day a man accuses his wife of being a witch.
It isn't every day a man finds out he's married to one.
I can only say it's incredible.
I know. That's what I said when he told me.
When who told you?
The last guy.
Tell me about the last guy.
I met Hetty on a cruise ship about 5 years ago. She said her husband had just somehow disappeared. She was distraught. You know, she does the distraught bit to perfection.
I know nothing of the kind. What happened? Had he fallen overboard?
Well, that's what she made everybody think. Till we got a radiogram from shore. He claimed he knew nothing about the trip.
Well, either he had boarded the boat or he hadn't.
Okay, let's get all of that cleared away. There was a ticket in his name. There were some people who claimed they had seen him. The trouble is, there was a pretty drunk bon voyage party. Most everyone was in no shape to remember anything. Oh, yes, the steward did claim to have seen him aboard, but...
But?
I'm convinced the steward was bribed. So I bought her story. I fell in love with her. Just as you did. And I helped her kill him. Just as you're going to help her kill me.
You know what I think?
I know what you think. You think I'm a nut. You could look it up. 5 years ago, Stacy's Mountainville Lodge in the Adirondacks. She called me. She was desperate. Come up here. He's going to kill me. I flew up. I found them. They were near a cliff. She was screaming for help. I started fighting him off. I guess he slipped. He fell over the side. He was killed. Look it up. Coroner's office. You'll see. An accident.
Let's assume I buy all this. How does it make her a witch?
Oh. She told me. She'll tell you afterwards. She's a witch. She falls in love with men, gets tired of them, and destroys them.
I think you must be...
I know. I'm here to warn you. But I'm going to kill her first.
Let me get you a cup of coffee.
You're a fool. I'm here to save your life.
Sure.
Okay. Look her up. I mean that. See if you can find a trace of her. See if you can find out where or when she was born, who her parents were. She has absolutely no background, I tell you.
Don't get excited.
Lord, this is all so familiar. All of this is what he said to me. And what I said to him. Back there, before I killed him.
Now, nobody's going to kill anybody.
I don't know you. But you look like a nice guy. Take my advice. Save yourself. Save yourself.
I'm not sure I should be here with you tonight, Fred.
Well, you wouldn't let me visit you at home.
Oh, it just wouldn't look right.
Yeah, but it's all on the level. I'm a newspaper man. It's business. I'm doing a story.
I had a very proper upbringing.
Where were you raised, Hetty?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Why?
Well, I told you it was proper. But it wasn't happy. I shouldn't say this, but there were times when I thought my parents were ogres. Fred, is something wrong?
No. Gee, I just hope I didn't spill anything on you.
No. I didn't have a happy childhood. I don't like to discuss it.
Here's something we should discuss. I spoke with Tom this morning.
I think I know what he told you.
So far out, I even hesitate to mention it, but obviously he believes it.
I insisted that he see a psychiatrist. In fact, we both went. And it's the doctor's opinion that Tom is riddled with guilt. You see, he thinks he murdered Larry.
Larry?
My first husband. But Larry was a brute. I was very young, and we're really too young to know anything about people. Larry was a drunk. I didn't know that either. And when he had a few, he would abuse me. Well, I shouldn't have done it, but I was terrified. I called Tom, and he came up and got into a fight with Larry, and, well, there was that accident.
But why should he get that far-out notion about you?
According to the doctor, it had to be something, well, something he could live with, something that could justify what he did, and he really has a vivid imagination.
Strikes me as a very sober-minded person, aside
He was a lit major at college. He became an accountant because he had to make a living. I don't know what I'm going to do about him, Fred. I've had so much trouble in my life, and he's really a wonderful guy, and I love him. Why does he want to destroy us? Why should he have a guilty conscience about Larry? Whatever happened was in self-defense.
Well, look, everything will turn out all right.
Oh, you're only saying that because you have to say something.
No, I believe it.
Hello?
Tom?
Yes, it's Tom.
But you said you were working late.
Well, I am. I just took a break for dinner. Join you?
Please.
Fred, you obviously didn't hear a word I said this morning, did you?
I heard every word.
Heard them all and listened to none?
Tom, you're not well, and I think we...
Oh, I know what you think. You think we should go away for a rest and all that. Forget it. I know what I have to do, and I'm going to do it. Poor Fred. I feel sorry for you. You're in love with her.
To keep the record straight, I'm a reporter. There's a story here. I aim to get it.
Sure. That's what you tell yourself.
Let's go along with you, Tom. Suppose what you say is true. Suppose she's what you say she is. Why not walk out, get a divorce?
I can't.
Why?
I hope you never find out. You see, she destroys you. She takes away your capacity to love. Your feelings, your mind. It's as if you're only just nourishment for her. And when everything you have to give is gone, she discards you for someone else.
Tom, for your own sake, I think you should be under a doctor's care in a hospital.
I suppose I should. But I want to save you. It'll make up for Larry.
I must apologize, Fred, for exposing you to all this. I shouldn't have come here.
But you wanted to expose him to all this. That's why you came here. You knew I always eat here when I work late.
Tom, I'll do anything you want. Just tell me.
Disappear. As a supernatural person, you can arrange that without any problem.
Please, Fred, go now. Leave us alone.
But I don't want to.
He's my problem. I have to live with it. And if you stay, well, an audience always excites him.
Now, look who finally showed up. What happened to that Nobel Prize for Journalism you were working on?
Lieutenant, there is no Nobel Prize for journalism.
Oh, well, what happened anyhow?
I got off it all. Couldn't make heads or tails.
Well, we're still on it. As a matter of fact, information keeps pouring in all the time.
On her?
On him. Funny duck. He was always interested in spirits, that kind of thing. He wrote his master's thesis on something called demonology.
Well, there's nothing there for me.
As a man or a reporter?
Both.
You know, I've been married 10 years, and I've never been tempted. But if I could be, she could do it. Oh, that dame is something.
I'm surprised at you, Lieutenant.
But there's hope for you. If what you say about the husband is true, he winds up in the loony bin, and after a respectable interval, she could be yours. That's what's in your mind, right?
You are the most cynical person I know.
Come off it. We're two of a kind. I'd even wait for her myself. Lieutenant Carroll.
Is Fred Peterson there, please?
Hold on, I'll see. It's the girl you love.
Cut it out.
Okay, the girl we love. You hear?
Yeah, I guess I'm here.
Take it.
Hello?
Fred, I'm scared.
What's the matter, Hetty?
Don't ask any questions. Just come to my place. Quickly. Come in, Fred. Oh, darling, I'm so glad you're here.
Hetty, why are you shaking like that?
I'm frightened. I'm so frightened.
Please, Hetty, calm down. I'm here. Everything is going to be all right.
I know it. I know. It's wrong for me to talk to you like this, to feel like this. But I can't help it.
No, we'll work it out. Somehow we'll work it out. Now. Why are you scared?
He asked me to take his suit to the cleaners this morning, and I found this in his pocket.
It's a receipt.
Read it.
From Carrington's, 1 double-action Danforth Wilson revolver, caliber .32.
He bought a gun. Don't you see? He bought a gun.
All right.
Why would he buy a gun if he didn't want to kill me?
Well, I think we have enough to interest the police now.
Are you sure about that?
Tom?
Well, answer the question, Fred. What do you expect from the police? I have a permit for this gun. I have every right to own it.
Look, Tom, I get very nervous when people point guns at me. Maybe it's unreasonable, but do you mind putting that thing away?
Well, I will. After I use it.
No, Tom.
Don't be a fool. You're not a killer.
I always thought that. Till just now.
Tom, listen. Let's say you're right. That she is a witch, okay? Don't you see? You couldn't kill her anyhow. You'd empty the gun at her. It wouldn't mean a thing.
Fine. Why don't we find out?
I won't let you.
Get away from me, Fred.
No.
Come on, step aside.
Behind me, Hetty. Behind me.
Fred, give me that gun. If you move, I'll kill you.
Gun. Just lower it. Drop it.
I'm going to kill her.
No, drop it.
Tom! You did it. Again, Eddie. It did it. Again.
Call a doctor, Hetty.
What for? You poor sucker. You think she's not worth it. You think she's paradise? She is. She is. But it doesn't last. It doesn't last. And then she'll kill you. She'll kill you, too.
Tom.
He's dead.
Tom.
You saw there was nothing I could do.
I know.
Better call the police.
Lieutenant Carroll?
Lieutenant, it's Fred.
Hey, Fred, I got news for you. What I mean is I have absolutely no news for you.
Lieutenant, listen to me.
You know, we drew a complete blank on that dame. We traced her back to St. Louis City Hall, where she married a guy named Larry Bellows. She gave her home address as Charterville, Illinois. But there's no such place.
Listen, Lieutenant.
It's as if this dame just materialized out of thin air. No background at all.
Wait a minute. Hetty. Who are you?
Hello? Oh, Fred? Fred, why did you call?
Who are you, Hetty?
Fred, what's on your mind?
Hetty.
I warned you 3 times, Fred. I warned you 3 times.
And how many warnings would you have needed? Or heeded? That's the trouble. When they have honey blonde hair, it's so hard to take them seriously. A mistake. You should always take every woman seriously. We'll be back shortly. Are there really witches? Everyone must keep his own counsel on the matter. However, if you should happen upon a damsel in distress, and she has honey blonde hair and baby blue eyes, remember, we warned you 3 times. Our cast included Joan Loring, Mason Adams, Tom Keena, Alan Manson, and Sam Gray. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. Our star tonight is one of the most compelling actresses in America today, Miss Agnes Moorehead. Miss Moorehead returns to our stage to appear in a new study in terror by Lucille Fletcher called Sorry, Wrong Number. This story of a woman who accidentally overheard a conversation with death and who strove frantically to prevent murder from claiming an innocent victim is tonight's tale of suspense. If you have been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, to stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation, and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so it is with Sorry, Wrong Number and the performance of Agnes Moorehead. We again hope to keep you in suspense.
Oh, dear.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've been dialing Murray Hill 70093 now for the last 3/4 of an hour, and the line is always busy. I don't see how it could be busy that long. Will you try it for me, please?
I'll be glad to try that number for you. One moment, please.
I don't see how it could be busy all this time. It's my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I'm all alone here in the house. My health is very poor, and I've been feeling so nervous all day.
Ringing Murray Hill 70093.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Is Mr. Stevenson there?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hello, George.
Yes, sir. This is George speaking.
Hello? Who's this? What number am I calling, please?
I'm here with our client now. He says the coast is clear for tonight.
Yes, sir.
Where are you now?
In a phone booth. But don't worry. Everything's okay.
Very well. Now, you know the address. At 11 o'clock, the private patrolman goes around to the bar on 2nd Avenue for a beer. Be sure that all the lights downstairs are on, eh? What? There should be only one light visible from the street. At 11:15, a train crosses the bridge. It makes a noise in case her window is open and she should scream.
Oh, hello. What number is this, please?
Okay, I understand. Now make it quick. As little blood as possible, eh? Our client does not wish to make her suffer long.
Will a knife be okay, sir?
Yeah, a knife will be okay. And do you remember the other detail?
Yeah, I know. Remove the rings and bracelets and the jewelry in the bureau drawer.
That's right. Our client wishes it to look like simple robbery.
Now, don't worry. Everything is going to be okay.
All right, then. Be sure that...
Oh, how awful. How unspeakably awful. Oh.
Your call, please.
Operator, I've just been cut off.
I'm sorry. What number were you calling?
Why, it was supposed to be Murray Hill 70093, but it wasn't. Some wires must have got crossed. I was cut into a wrong number, and I've just heard the most dreadful thing. Something about a murder. And, operator, you'll simply have to retrace that call at once.
I beg your pardon. May I help you?
Oh, I know it was a wrong number, and I had no business listening, but these two men, they were cold-blooded fiends, and they were going to murder somebody, some poor innocent woman who was all alone in a house near a bridge, and we've got to stop them. We've got to.
What number were you calling, please?
Well, that doesn't matter. This was a wrong number, and you dialed it for me, and we've got to find out what it was immediately.
What number did you call?
Oh, why are you so stupid? What time is it? Do you mean to tell me you can't find out what that number was just now?
I'll connect you with the chief operator.
Oh, I think it's perfectly shameful. Now, look, it was obviously a case of some little slip of the finger. I told you to try Murray Hill 70093 for me. You dialed it, but your finger must have slipped, and I was connected with some other number. And I could hear them, but they couldn't hear me. Now, I simply fail to see why you couldn't make that same mistake again on purpose, why you couldn't try to dial Murray Hill 70093 in the same sort of careless way.
Murray Hill 70093. I will try to get it for you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Murray Hill 70093 is busy. I will call you in 20...
Operator, will you answer me?
Your call, please.
Well, you didn't try to get that wrong number at all. I asked you explicitly, and all you did was dial correctly.
I'm sorry. What number are you calling?
Oh, can't you for once forget what number I'm calling and do something for me? Now, I want to trace that call. It's my civic duty, it's your civic duty to trace that call and apprehend those dangerous killers. And if you won't...
I will connect you with the chief operator.
Please. Oh. Answer.
This is the chief operator.
Oh, chief operator, I want you to trace a call, a telephone call immediately. I don't know where it came from or who was making it, but it's absolutely necessary that it be tracked down because it was about a murder that someone's planning. A terrible, cold-blooded murder of a poor, innocent woman tonight at 11:15.
I see.
Well, can you trace it for me? Can you track down those men?
I'm not certain. It depends.
Depends on what?
It depends on whether the call is still going on. If it's a live call, we can trace it on the equipment. If it's been disconnected, we can't.
Disconnected?
If the parties have stopped talking to each other.
Oh, but of course they must have stopped talking to each other by now. That was at least 5 minutes ago, and they didn't sound like the type who would make a long call.
Well, I can try tracing it. May I have your name, please?
Mrs. Stevenson. Mrs. Elbert Stevenson. Now, but listen...
And your telephone number, please.
Oh, Plaza 42295. But if you go on wasting all this time...
Why do you want the call traced, please?
Why? Well... Oh, no reason. No reason. I mean, I merely felt very strongly that something ought to be done about it. These men sounded like killers. They're dangerous. They're going to murder this woman at 11:15 tonight, and I thought the police ought to know.
Have you reported this to the police?
Well, no, not yet.
You want this call checked purely as a private individual?
Yes, but meanwhile...
I'm sorry, Mrs. Stevenson, but I'm afraid we couldn't make this check for you and trace the call just in your say-so as a private individual.
Well,
we'd have to do something more official.
Oh, for heaven's sake. You mean to tell me I can't report that there's going to be a murder without getting tied up in all this red tape? Why, it's perfectly idiotic. Well, all right. I'll call the police.
Thank you. I'm sure that would be the best way to...
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's perfectly ridiculous. All this red tape. Oh.
Your call, please.
The police department. Get me the police department, please.
Thank you. Bringing the police department.
Dave.
Police station, precinct 43, Sergeant Martin speaking.
Police department. This is Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Elbert Smythe Stevenson of 53 North Sutton Place. I'm calling up to report a murder. I mean, the murder hasn't been committed yet, but I just overheard plans for it over the telephone, over a wrong number that the operator gave me. I've been trying to trace down the call myself, but everybody is so stupid, and I guess in the end you're the only people who could do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, it was a perfectly definite murder. I heard their plans distinctly. Two men were talking, and they were going to murder some woman at 11:15 tonight. She lived in a house near a bridge. Are you listening to me?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a private patrolman on the street. He was going to go around for a beer on 2nd Avenue, and there was some third man, a client, who was paying to have this poor woman murdered. They were going to take her rings and bracelets and use a knife. Well, it's unnerved me dreadfully, and I'm not well.
I see. When was all this, ma'am?
Well, about 8 minutes ago. Oh, then you can do something. You do understand.
What is your name, ma'am?
Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Elbert Stevenson.
And your address?
53 North Sutton Place. 53 North Sutton Place. That's near a bridge, the Queensboro Bridge, you know, and we have a private patrolman on our street, and 2nd Avenue.
And what was the number you were calling?
Murray Hill 70093. But that wasn't the number I overheard. I mean, Murray Hill 70093 is my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I was trying to reach him to ask him to come home. I'm an invalid, you know, and it's the maid's night off, and I hate to be alone, even though he says I'm perfectly safe as long as I have the telephone right beside my bed.
Well, we'll look into it, Mrs. Stevenson. And we'll see if we can check it with the telephone company.
But the telephone company said they couldn't check the call if the parties had stopped talking. I've already taken care of that.
Oh, you have?
Yes, and personally, I feel you ought to do something far more immediate and drastic than just check the call. What good does checking the call do if they stop talking? By the time you track it down, they'll already have committed the murder.
Well, we'll take care of it, don't you worry.
Well, I'd say the whole thing called for a search, a complete and thorough search of the whole city. Now, I'm very near the bridge, and I'm not far from 2nd Avenue, and I know I'd feel a lot better if you sent around a radio car to this neighborhood at once.
And what makes you think the murder's going to be committed in your neighborhood,
Oh,
ma'am?
well, I don't know. Only the coincidence is so horrible. 2nd Avenue and the patrolman and the bridge.
2nd Avenue is a very long street, ma'am.
I know it.
And you know how many bridges there are in the city of New York alone.
Oh.
Not to mention Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx.
I know.
How do you know there isn't some little house out on Staten Island, on some little 2nd Avenue you've never even heard about?
Oh.
How do you know they're even talking about New York at all?
But I heard the call on the New York dialing system.
Maybe it was a long-distance call you overheard. Telephones are funny things. Look, lady, why don't you look at it this way? Supposing you hadn't broken in on that telephone call. Supposing you'd got your husband the way you always do. You wouldn't be upset, would you?
No, I suppose not, only it sounded so inhuman, so cold-blooded.
Well, a lot of murders are plotted in this city every day, ma'am.
Well,
we manage to prevent most all of them, but a clue of this kind is so vague. Isn't much more use to us than no clue at all.
But surely you...
Unless, of course, you have some reason for thinking this call was phony, and that somebody may be planning to murder you.
Me? Oh, no, I hardly think so. Well, I mean, why should anybody? I'm alone all day and night. I see nobody except my maid, Eloise, and she's a big girl. She weighs 200 pounds. She's too lazy to bring up my breakfast tray, and the only other person is my husband, Albert. He's crazy about me. He just adores me. He waits On me hand and foot has scarcely left my side since I took sick 12 years ago.
Well, and there's nothing for you to worry about.
Well,
now, if you'll just leave the rest of this to us, we'll
but
take
what
care
will you do? It's so late. It's nearly 11 now.
We'll take care of it, lady.
Well, will you broadcast it all over the city and send out squads and warn your radio cars to watch out, especially in suspicious neighborhoods like mine?
Lady, I said we'd take care of it. Just now, I've got a couple of other matters here on my desk that require immediate attention. Good night, ma'am, and thank you.
Oh, you idiot. Oh, now why did I hang up the phone like that? Now he'll think I am a fool. Oh, why doesn't Albert come home? Why doesn't he? Oh.
Your call, please.
Operator, for heaven's sake, will you ring that Murray Hill 70093 number again? I can't think what's keeping him so long.
I will try it for you.
Well, try. Oh. So nervous. Why did you take so long?
I'm sorry. Murray Hill 70093 is busy. I will call you.
I can hear it. You don't have to tell me. I know it's busy. Oh, if I could only get out of this bed for a little while. If I could get a breath of fresh air, or just lean out of the window, or see the street. Hello, Albert? Hello? 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 Oh, what's the matter with this phone? Hello? 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 Oh, for heaven's sake, who is this? Hello? 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 Oh, please try it. Oh. Oh, why did it...
Your call, please.
Hello, operator. I don't know what's the matter with this telephone tonight, but it's positively driving me crazy. I've never seen such inefficient, miserable service. Now, look. I'm an invalid, and I'm very nervous, and I'm not supposed to be annoyed. But if this keeps on much longer...
What seems to be the trouble, please?
Well, everything's wrong. I haven't had one bit of satisfaction out of one call I've made this evening. The whole world could be murdered for all you people care. And now my phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing every 5 seconds or so. And when I pick it up, there's no one there.
I'm sorry. If you will hang up, I will test it for you.
I don't want you to test it for me. I want you to put that call through, whatever it is, at once.
I'm afraid I cannot do that.
You can't, and why? Why, may I ask?
The dial system is automatic.
Oh.
If someone is trying to dial your number, there is no way to check whether the call is coming through the system or not. Unless the person who is trying to reach you complains to his particular operator.
Well, of all this stupid... And meanwhile, I've got to sit here in my bed suffering every time that phone rings, imagining everything.
I will try to check the trouble for you.
Check it. That's all anybody can do. Oh, what's the use of talking to you? You're stupid. I'll fix her. Of all the impudence. Oh, how dare she speak to me like that? How dare she speak to me like that? Oh. She answered.
Your call, please.
Young woman, I don't know your name, but there are ways of finding you out. And I'm going to report you to your superiors for the most unpardonable rudeness and insolence it has ever been my privilege. Give me the business office at once.
You may dial that number direct.
Dial it direct? I'll do no such thing. I don't even know the number.
The number is in the directory, or you may secure it by dialing information.
Now listen here, you... Oh, what's the use? Oh, dear. Oh, for heaven's sake, I'm going out of my mind. Hello, stop ringing me, do you hear? Answer me, who is this? You realize you're driving me crazy? Who's calling me? What are you doing it for? Now stop it, I say. Hello, if you don't stop ringing me, I'm going to call the police, do you hear? The police! Oh, if Albert would only come home. Oh, let it ring. Let it go on ringing. It's a trick of some kind. And I won't answer it. I won't, even if it goes on ringing all night. Now, what's the matter? Why did they stop ringing all of a sudden? What time is it? Oh, where did I put that clock? 5 to 11. Oh, they've decided something. They're sure I'm home. They heard my voice answer them just now. That's why they've been ringing me. Why no one has answered me? Call that operator again. Oh, where is she? Why doesn't she answer? Oh, operator. Why doesn't she answer?
Your call, please.
Where were you just now? Why didn't you answer at once? Give me the police department.
I'm sorry. Just a minute.
Oh. Oh.
I'm sorry. The line is busy. I will call you.
Busy? Busy? But that's impossible. The police department can't be busy. There must be other lines available.
The line is busy.
Oh.
I will try to get them for you later.
No, I've got to speak to them now, or it may be too late. I've got to talk to someone.
What number do you wish to speak to?
I don't know, but there must be someone to protect people beside the police department. A detective agency.
You will find agencies listed in the classified directory.
But I don't have a classified directory. I mean, I'm too nervous to look it up.
I will connect you with information. Perhaps she will be able to help you.
No. Oh, you're being spiteful, aren't you? You don't care, do you, what happens to me? I could die and you wouldn't care. Oh, stop it! Stop it! I can't stand anymore. Hello? What do you want? Stop ringing, will you? Stop it.
Hello? Is this Plaza 42295?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, this is Plaza 42295.
This is Western Union.
Yes.
I have a telegram here for Mrs. Albert Stevenson.
Yes.
Is there anyone there to receive the message?
Yes, I'm Mrs. Stevenson.
The telegram is as follows. Mrs. Albert Stevenson, 53 North Sutton Place, New York, New York. Darling, terribly sorry. Tried to get you for last hour, but line busy.
Oh.
Leaving for Boston, 11 p.m. tonight on urgent business. Back tomorrow afternoon. Keep happy. Love, signed, Albert.
Oh, no.
Do you wish us to deliver a copy of the message?
No, thank you.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Good night. Oh, no. No, I don't believe it. He couldn't do it. Not when he knows I'll be all alone. It's some trick. It's some trick. Some fiendish trick. I know. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, why doesn't she answer?
Your call, please.
Operator, try that Murray Hill 70093 number for me just once more, please.
You may dial that number direct.
Oh. Oh. 9, 3. Oh, he's gone. Oh, Albert, how could you? How could you? Oh, I can't be alone tonight. I can't. If I'm alone one more second, I'll go mad. I don't care what he says or what the expense is. I'm a sick woman. I'm entitled.
This is information. May I help you?
I want the telephone number of Henchley Hospital.
Henchley Hospital?
Yes.
Do you have the street address?
No, it's somewhere in the 70s. It's a very small, private and exclusive hospital where I had my appendix out 2 years ago. Henchley, H-E-N-C-A...
One moment, please.
Well, will you please hurry and please, what is the time?
You may find out the time by dialing Meridian 71212.
Oh, for heaven's sake, I've no time to be dialing.
The number of Henchley Hospital is Butterfield 70105.
Butterfield 70105.
Henchley Hospital. Good evening.
Nurses registry.
Who was it you wished to speak to, please?
I want the nurses registry at once. I want a trained nurse. I want to hire immediately for the night.
I see. And what is the nature of the case, madam?
Nerves. I'm very nervous. I need soothing and companionship. You see, my husband is away, and I'm
Have you
also...
been recommended to us by any doctor in particular, madam?
No, but I really don't see why all this catechizing is necessary. I just want a trained nurse. I was a patient in your hospital 2 years ago, and after all, I do expect to pay this person for attending me.
We quite understand that, madam, but these are war times, you know.
I know that.
Registered nurses are very scarce just now, and our superintendent has asked us to send people out only on cases where the physician in charge feels it's absolutely necessary.
Well, it is absolutely necessary. I'm a sick woman. I'm very much upset, very. I'm alone in this house, and I'm an invalid, and tonight I overheard a telephone conversation that upset me dreadfully. In fact, if someone doesn't come at once, I'm afraid I'll go out of my mind.
I see. Well, I'll speak to Miss Phillips as soon as she comes in. And what is your name, madam?
Miss Phillips? And when do you expect her in?
I really couldn't say. She went out to supper at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock? But it's not 11 o'clock yet. Oh, my clock has stopped. I thought it was running down. What time is it?
Just 15 minutes past 11.
What was that?
What was what, madam?
That click just now in my own telephone. As though someone had lifted the receiver off the hook of the extension telephone downstairs.
Well, I didn't hear it, madam. Now, about this...
But I did. There's someone in this house. Someone downstairs in the kitchen. And they're listening to me now. They're listening! I won't pick it up. I won't let them hear me. I won't let them hear me. I'll be quiet. I'll be so quiet. And they'll think... Oh, but if I don't call someone now, while they're still down there, maybe there'll be no time. Oh, somebody's got to help me.
Your call, please.
Operator, I'm in desperate trouble.
I'm sorry. I cannot hear you. Please speak louder.
I don't dare. There's someone listening. Can you hear me now?
I'm sorry.
Oh, but you've got to hear me. Oh, please, you've got to help me. There's someone in this house. Someone who's going to murder me. And you've got to get in touch with... Oh, there it is. There it is. Did you hear it? He's put it down. He's put down the extension phone. He's coming up. Oh, he's coming upstairs. Okay, give me the police department. The police department. Oh, give me the police department.
One moment, please. I will connect you.
I can hear him. Oh, I can hear him. He's coming nearer. Oh, I know it. Hurry. Hurry. Hurry, please.
Oh, police department. Oh, I'm sorry. Must have got the wrong number.
Precinct 43, Sergeant Martin speaking. Police Department, Martin speaking. Police Department, Martin speaking.
Oh, police department?
Police Department.
I'm sorry. Must have got the wrong number. Don't worry. Everything's okay.
And so closes Sorry, Wrong Number, starring Agnes Moorehead, tonight's tale of suspense. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us again next Tuesday, when Mr. Donald Crisp and Mr. John Loder will star in the suspense play called The Extra Guest. The producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, who with Ted Bliss, the director, Lud Gluskin, the musical director, and Lucille Fletcher, the author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Lux presents Hollywood. The Lux Radio Theater brings you William Powell and Myrna Loy in After the Thin Man. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. Cecil B. DeMille. Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. When Edgar Allan Poe popularized the detective story, he found the great common denominator of American entertainment. Millions of us have stayed up past bedtime to explore the fascinating realm of whodunit, including the President of the United States. And you can find devotees in every walk of life, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief, and probably policeman, too. Perhaps we haven't investigated this branch of the drama quite as often as we should in the Lux Radio Theater. But when we do engage a manhunter, we get the very best. Tonight, our play is After the Thin Man, adapted from the MGM picture, and naturally starring the same two players that go with the Thin Man story, Myrna Loy and William Powell. It's an occasion for great rejoicing, but we also must hang our heads a little, because it's exactly 4 years since Miss Loy was last at this microphone. There's more to the story of After the Thin Man than just the exciting quest of a criminal, because our detective is the extraordinary Nick Charles, and Nick has a lovely wife named Nora. They happen to be very much in love. But even love can't keep Nora from interfering with her husband's business when she has an idea. And Nora is a girl with many ideas. Together they can solve just about any problem you give them. But you don't really need a detective to discover that Lux Flakes is the simple answer to your household problems. It's a deduction that millions of women have made after giving Lux Flakes a trial. Now, if your wits have been thoroughly sharpened and you're ready for anything to happen, we'll raise the curtain on the first act of After the Thin Man, starring William Powell as Nick Charles and Myrna Loy as Nora. The railroad station in San Francisco. Into the dim maze of tracks rolls a mighty streamliner, sleek and shiny after its mad dash across the country. With a final throb of its powerful engines, it comes to rest. From the gate tumbles a crowd of reporters and photographers. They rush breathlessly up and down the length of the platform, eager to be the first to greet the arriving celebrities, Mr. and Mrs. Nick Charles.
What car is he in? He's probably in that car over there.
Come on, let's get a statement from him.
Is Nick Charles in this car? Charles, 2 cars back.
Thanks.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Nick.
Hello, Nicky. How does it feel to be home?
You going to stay with us a while now?
I'm from the Chronicle, Mr. Charles. Can I have a statement?
Easy, guys, easy. One at a time. Darling, these are the gentlemen of the press. Gentlemen, my wife.
Glad to know you, Mr. Charles.
How do you do?
How's about a statement, Nick? Are you going to keep on with your detective work?
No, gentlemen, I've retired. Now on, I'm just going to take care of my wife's money. So I'll have something in my old age.
Oh, you said you'd retired before, but I noticed you took that Thin Man case in New York.
Yeah, that Thin Man was a beaut. They're still talking about it.
You'd take a case like that now, wouldn't you?
Not a chance. I just took that to please my wife. She wanted some excitement.
Well, I guess you had it, Mr. Charles.
Oh, it was wonderful. 2 men tried to kill him.
But he's not going to take any more cases. You can print that.
That's the girl. So long, gentlemen. Come on, darling.
Goodbye, nice to meet you, Charles.
Goodbye. Nice to have met you. Nick, slow down. I can't keep up if you're going to...
Excuse me, lady. I guess I wasn't looking where I was going.
No. I guess you weren't.
Hiya, Fingers.
Well, Nick Charles. Well, how are you?
Fine. How's business, Fingers?
Business? Oh, I quit that racket.
Nick, my purse. It's gone.
Oh, that's a shame. Nora, I want you to meet Fingers McCoy. This is my wife, Fingers.
Your wife?
Mm-hmm.
Say, I didn't know she was... Oh, I'm sorry about your purse, Mrs. Charles.
What'll I do, Nick? I know I had it with me.
Oh, it'll turn up. Won't it, Fingers?
I certainly hope so. Sure. Well, so long, Nick. Glad I bumped into you. Goodbye, Mrs. Charles.
Goodbye. Nick, I've got to go back to the train.
No, I wouldn't bother, darling. Let's get home.
I just can't go off.
Come on now, come on. You don't want to embarrass him, do you?
What do you mean?
Fingers. He's a purse snatcher. Think of his feelings.
A purse snatcher? Well, he must have taken it.
Certainly, but you see, he didn't know you were my wife. You'll get it back in a morning mail, darling. He's a very honest pickpocket.
Oh, Nick, you do know the nicest people.
Hiya, Nick. Welcome home.
Hiya, Bumps. How's the boy?
Never better, Nick. In the pink.
See you around.
A prize fighter, darling?
No, wrestler.
Oh, a wrestler. Well, that's different.
Hiya, Nicky. What's a good boy?
Well, hello, Slats. How's everything?
I'm doing okay. Glad to see you, pal.
Likewise.
Now, there's a sweet character. He ought to be in jail just to play safe.
He got out last Tuesday.
Oh. Welcome home, Nora. Oh, hello. Thank you.
Nice to see you, my dear.
Thank you very much.
Now, who are those people, darling?
You wouldn't know them. They're respectable.
Oh.
You know, darling, the best thing about going away is coming back home.
I suppose you remember that tonight is New Year's.
I know. Got your keys, darling?
Yeah. I also suppose you've got some ideas on the subject.
Very definite ideas.
I was afraid of that.
I want to lock the doors and plug the bells, cut off the telephone, and crawl into bed for months.
Mrs. Charles, you're a woman after my own heart. I won't be awake at midnight, so I'll kiss you now. Happy New Year, Nora.
Happy New Year, darling.
Hiya, folks. What you standing out there for? Come on in.
Hey, what is this?
Well, it's our house, all right.
Come on. Make yourself at home, folks.
Well, let's go in, darling. He says it's all right.
Oh, well, as long as we're invited.
There's the bar right in there. Help yourself.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
What's the celebration?
We're giving a surprise party to Nick and Nora.
Nick and Nora?
Sure. Don't you know Nick and Nora?
No, we don't.
Neither do I. But that's not going to spoil my fun. It's New Year's, so what's the odds? Go on in. Fake it. It's a cinch.
Oh, thanks for the tip.
Sure. Get in there and get some of that Napoleon brandy before it's all gone.
Oh. May I have this dance, Mrs. Charles?
Thank you, sir. You're a gent. Who are all these people?
Well, now, let's see. It looks like Mo Stone over there. He's a bookie. That fellow with him is a police captain. And I believe the gentleman in the loud suit runs the pool room. That fellow in the fireman's hat...
Never mind. I get the general idea.
Mrs. Charles, welcome home, madam.
Thank you.
How are you, Peters?
Never better, Mr. Charles. I'm sorry about the party, sir, but they forced their way in.
Yeah, knowing my friends, I can believe that.
Nick, I smell something burning.
Probably just the living room rug or,
If I may be allowed to suggest, sir, that's probably Mrs. Charles' aunt. She's been calling all day and very much annoyed. She wants you to come to dinner this evening, Mrs. Charles.
Oh, dear.
Goodbye, darling. See you next year.
She expects you too, Mr. Charles.
Me? Aunt Catherine wants me to come to dinner?
Well, there must be some mistake. She couldn't want you, Nick. I'll take it in the bedroom, Peters. Nick, come with me.
If it's your Aunt Catherine, get out of it. No more family dinners. I wouldn't go through that again if you had twice as much money.
Hello?
Hello, Nora.
Who is this?
This is Selma.
Oh, hello, darling.
Darling? Aunt Catherine?
Shut up. It's my cousin Selma. How are you, Selma?
Nora, I had to call you. I wanted to make sure you were coming tonight.
Well, I'm afraid not, Selma. You see...
Nora, you've got to come. I'm in terrible trouble.
What?
Please, I can't tell you now, but you must come. I'm desperate. Oh, wait a minute.
Selma, put down that phone.
I won't. I'm speaking to Nora.
Hello?
I told you not to call anyone.
Hello, Selma.
Give me the phone. Hello, dear.
Hello, is this...
How are you, Nora? This is Aunt Catherine.
Well, what's the matter with Selma?
Oh, nothing at all, dear. You know Selma well enough not to pay too much attention to her. We'll see you tonight, Nora.
Well, you see, it's New Year's Eve, Aunt Catherine.
The old battle axe.
Shut up.
What?
Excuse me, Aunt Catherine. I was talking to the dog.
Oh. We'll expect you at 7:30.
All right, Aunt Catherine. We'll come. Goodbye.
What did you say?
I said we'd be over for dinner.
Oh, my own wife.
I'm sorry, Nicky, but I had to do it. It's Selma. She's in trouble. You like Selma, don't you?
Not as much as that.
But she sounded so funny, as if she'd been crying.
Living with your Aunt Catherine, I can't say I blame her.
Selma, stop that crying. Do you want the servants to hear you?
I don't care, Aunt Catherine. I'm going crazy. I can't stand it any longer. I'm going to call the police.
You'll do nothing of the sort. Haven't we paid out enough to hush up his other scandals?
He never did anything like this before. How do we know but what he may be dead?
I told you I'd handle this.
I can't go on this way. Robert's my husband, and
Be quiet. Yes, Henry?
Beg pardon, madam, but shall I set a place for Mr. Robert tonight?
Certainly. Mr. Robert will be here.
Very good, madam.
You know he won't be here, Aunt Catherine.
I know nothing of the sort. Now go upstairs and make yourself presentable.
When Nora comes, I'm going to tell her.
You will not tell her. I will not have that husband of hers snooping into our family affairs.
I don't care. He can help us. I'm going to tell him the whole story.
Nick.
Huh?
Aunt Catherine wants to speak to you.
What did I do now? Use the wrong fork?
Nick, listen. Do you know why Robert wasn't here tonight?
Sure, because he's smart.
I'm not fooling. He's disappeared.
That's swell. Now, if we could only get rid of Aunt Catherine, we'd be all set.
Come on. She's in the library with Selma. Here he is, Aunt Catherine.
Oh, Nicholas, I'm sorry to take you away from the family.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, it's quite all right. Well, what's all this about, Selma? How long's Robert been gone?
3 days. 3 days without a word.
You notified the police?
Certainly not, and we're not going to.
Oh, no. Robert may be kidnapped. He may be lying dead somewhere, but we mustn't do anything about it. Our precious name might get in the paper.
Oh, don't pay any attention to her. She's exaggerating the whole affair. However, to please her, I thought you might investigate the matter quietly. With your experience as a flatfoot. And I didn't mean to be as blunt as that.
Why not? It's all in the family.
Selma, have you any idea where Robert might be?
No, but there's a woman mixed up in it. I know it.
Selma, you know nothing of the sort.
What about the vanity case they sent me from that Chinese restaurant?
It was a stupid mistake on their part.
Mistake? Some woman left it. He was there with some woman.
Selma, you know that Robert worships you.
How can you say that? You know he hates me. He only married me for my money. He never did love me. Sometimes I wish he were dead.
Well, I'm a little confused. Tell me, Selma, do you want him back or don't you?
Of course she wants him back. Don't, Selma, please. Come, Selma. I'll take you up to your room. Dr. Keller will be here in a moment. He'll give you something for your nerves. Excuse me. Nora? Nicholas? Well, Nick, what do you think about it?
I'm not thinking at all. What are you getting me into? There are lots of detectives in this town, men who need the job.
But no one as good as you, Nicky.
That won't get you a thing. I've retired.
But this is different. This is for Selma. You will help find Robert, won't you?
Why? I didn't lose him.
It's your chance, Nick. It'll get you in right with the family.
That's just what I'm afraid of.
Nicky.
Get your hat, darling. We're going to get out of here while we still got the chance. Well, where's it going to be? It's still New Year's Eve. We ought to go someplace.
All right, let's go look for Robert.
Now, listen, my sweet.
Hello, Nick. Hello, Nora.
Oh, hiya, David.
David, how nice to see you. What are you standing out here for?
Oh, they don't let me in the house anymore. Selma said she'd try and meet me later.
I'm afraid she won't be able to make it. Did you know that Robert had disappeared?
If he has, it's the only decent thing he's ever done.
What's he been up to lately, David?
The last thing he pulled on me was a couple of days ago. Called up and said that if I'd give him $25,000, he'd go away and leave Selma to me.
Lovely boy.
What did you say?
I asked him to give me a couple of days to think it over. You know, $25,000 would be cheap if he'd really go.
Why don't you take up a collection? There are a lot of people who'd like to contribute.
Tell me, did you see Selma? How is she?
I'm terribly worried about her.
I know, I am too.
Come on, David. We're going to go someplace and get the taste of respectability out of our mouths.
Thanks, but I couldn't.
Oh, David, why not?
I've got too much on my mind. Well, I'm glad you're back anyway. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Selma was a fool not to have married him instead of Robert.
We can't all be as lucky as you, darling. Well, where are we going?
How do you feel about some Chinese food?
Awful.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Because we're going to that Chinese restaurant that sent the compact to Selma, the Lai Chi. Please, darling.
Now, see here. I'm not looking for Robert.
Of course you're not. I am.
Well, tell him we're all filled up.
I did. He says to tell you his name is Nick Charles.
Nick Charles? Where is he?
Over by the door.
This is more like it.
You must feel right at home in a place like this. Too bad we didn't bring Aunt Catherine.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hello, Dancer. Tell me, haven't any tables?
Oh, I guess I can find one, seeing as it's you. You just slumming?
That's all, Dancer. Why?
Just wanted to make sure. I don't like business calls on New Year's. Oh, say, I want you to be my partner. Hey, Lum Key, come here. Yes? I want you to meet a friend of mine, Lum Key. This is Nick Charles.
And Mrs. Charles.
Oh, I'm your friend. You bet you.
You sent his brother up, Nick. Lum Ying. Remember?
Oh, yes. He's the one who spread a tongue war out to include sticking up a bank.
Oh, you bet you. You catch my brother. You play trick on him.
Who played trick on him who'll catch him, you bet you. You still in jail?
Oh, you bet you. 4 or 5 years more. Goodbye. Have a nice time, please.
Is he a tong man, too, Mr. Dancer?
No, but you never can tell how close brothers are. I thought you might like to know, Nick.
Thanks.
He's a good guy to have liking you. Oh, there's a table over there by the wall.
This way, Mrs. Charles.
Nicky, there's Robert.
I know. I saw him before.
Why didn't you tell me? Robert?
Oh, hello. Good evening, Robert. Happy New Year. Is it?
Robert, what are you doing in a place like this? We just saw Selma, Robert.
Yeah?
She's terribly worried about you. Don't you think you'd better go home?
Sure, I'll go home. When I feel like it, and not before.
Robert!
Oh, let him go.
Got your table, Nick. Oh, is that fellow a friend of yours?
On the contrary, he's a relation.
He's been hanging around here drunk for 3 days. He's got a case on our prima donna.
I wish you'd toss him out. His wife is going crazy.
Oh, that's too bad. I'll speak to his girlfriend.
Well, I've done my duty.
Hey, Polly. Polly, come here.
What's up, Dancer?
Now, listen. That boyfriend of yours is pretty drunk.
So what? I thought that was the idea. Keep him happy.
Sure, but a couple of his relations just blew in.
Relations? What do we do?
Well, give the customers one more song and then knock off for the night. And take him out of here.
Okay, but I'm getting sick of that guy.
It'll just be Lamara, honey, and then he can turn him loose.
Tomorrow's a holiday. The banks will be closed.
That's right. Well, then the next day. What's the difference? Ain't it worth it?
I guess so.
That's the girl. I'll make it snappy, Polly. I'll keep an eye on her.
Hey, Polly.
Yeah, what?
I got a message for you.
What is it?
Your brother's looking for you.
My brother? Where is he?
In your dressing room. He wants to see you right away.
Hello, Polly. What's the matter? You don't look so happy to see me.
Please, Phil, don't try to start anything. I'm in a hurry.
You've been in a hurry ever since I got back.
Can I help it if I gotta work?
That's not what I'm kicking about. What's going on with this drunk Robert Landis?
Nothing.
Oh, no? Then what's this check doing on your dressing table?
Give me that.
A check made out to you, signed by Robert Landis.
Get out of here. What are you...
Shut up or I'll smack you right in the teeth. I'm in on this, you know.
Phil, please.
If you don't cut me in, the party's off.
I can't cut you in.
The check's yours, ain't it?
Yes, but...
But what? But what?
Let me go. Let me...
Sure. But this is just to remind you that I'm in on the deal.
You big lug. Look what you've done to my face. How am I going to explain that?
There's a lot of things you'll have to explain before I'm through. You and Dancer are taking this Landis guy for plenty of dough, aren't you?
What about it?
How much? Come on, how much?
25,000.
Did you get it yet?
No.
Go ahead, spill it.
Some friend of his wife's is putting it up to get him to leave her alone.
So you're going to keep him drunk and then collect it for him. When?
I don't know.
When, I said?
Tomorrow night.
Okay. I'll be around the next morning. Early.
What are you doing here?
Hiya, Dancer. Just leaving. So long, Polly.
What did that heel want?
Nothing. It's okay, Dancer.
Now, listen. There's a switch in the plans. I just heard that dough is being handed over tonight.
Tonight?
That David guy is meeting Landis in front of his house. Now, you better be with Landis, see?
I'll be there.
I told Nick that you were taking Landis home. Now, make sure they see you as you go out.
Sure.
And when the dough's delivered, you know what to do. I'll be across the street just in case something goes wrong. Now, get going. And no slip-ups.
And see if Robert got home.
Oh, well, come on. There must be a phone in Dancer's office. He won't mind. Hello, Dancer. Come in.
What are you doing in this office?
Just calling a number. Any objections?
Once a gum heel, always a gum heel. I don't like gum heels, and I thought you'd quit it when you married a pot of money.
Did he call me a pot?
Yeah, I don't like to be critical, Dancer. You know, it doesn't look quite right when you and your partner and your prima donna and your best customer all go out at the same time. It gives the place a sort of a vacant look.
Have you ever been thrown out of a place, Mr. Charles?
How many places was it up to yesterday, Mrs. Charles?
How many places have you been in, Mr. Charles?
Hello? Aunt Catherine? This is Nick. Nicholas. What? When? I see. Yes, I will. Bye.
Well, if you're through in here, you can beat it.
What's the matter, Nick? Bad news?
Dancer, you'd better.
Ah, Polly, come in. Another of our travelers has returned. Now, if only Lum Key will... Well, no sooner said than done.
Oh, someone call me?
Quite a gathering of the clan, isn't it? I wonder which one of you would be most surprised if Robert Landis walked in now. You know there's no chance of that, don't you? All of you.
Now, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, get out of here.
What is it, Nick? What's happened?
Robert's been killed.
Killed?
He was killed on the front steps of your aunt's house. Police are questioning Selma.
What's that got to do with us? Go on, get out.
You said that before, Dancer, and it's foolish. I'm not going to get out. On the contrary. We're going to have a lot more people in.
Listen, you...
Hello. Nick Charles speaking. I want to get hold of Lieutenant Abrams, the homicide squad.
Why are you calling him? It's a cinch none of us shot Landis.
That's so. Well, then maybe you'd like to explain how you knew he was shot.
The curtain falls on Act One of After the Thin Man with Myrna Loy and William Powell. During this short intermission before Mr. DeMille presents Act Two, we introduce a very charming guest. Strike up the band, Lou. That music, ladies and gentlemen, welcomes a real Southern belle, Miss Mary Nell Porter from Memphis, Tennessee. In private life, she's a debutante, but this spring she's touring the country in a very important role as Maid of Cotton, representing our huge cotton industry. We're certainly delighted to welcome you to the Lux Radio Theater, Miss Porter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy. I'm so glad to be here.
I hear that you've been doing quite a little flying the last 3 months.
I certainly have. Over 12,000 miles.
And on top of that, I understand that you've had a staggering schedule of fashion shows and radio speeches and personal appearances in 30 different cities.
It has been a very interesting experience, and I've enjoyed meeting so many nice people all over the country. We've had such large crowds at all our cotton fashion shows.
Well, I'm sure the women want to hear about that.
And I'd love to talk about it. You know, cotton is terribly smart this year for play suits and street dresses and evening frocks.
Now, here, just a minute, please. How about giving us some details?
Well, there's a very good-looking red and white striped daytime dress with big sleeves, and has a very full skirt with the cutest Dutch boy pockets. I wear it with blue shoes.
That sounds very patriotic.
It surely is. Red, white, and blue is awfully fashionable this year. A lot of the dresses on our show are patriotic.
I see where the stripes fit in, then.
Well, they're smart, too, and so are flower prints. My bathing suit has tropical flowers scattered all over it.
Oh, so cotton goes swimming.
I should say it does. And dancing, too. You should see one evening dress in our fashion show. It's a brilliant red muslin with large white Hawaiian flowers all over it.
Straight from the South Seas.
Well, straight from a storybook. It has the sweetest puff sleeves and a long basque bodice.
Well, tell me, is cotton all glamour?
Goodness, no. It's simply wonderful for wearing in town, too. Things like gingham or piquet or seersucker make beautifully tailored suits. They're cool as can be and awfully easy to take care of.
Miss Porter, don't you find it hard to keep all these lovely cottons fresh on your trip?
Not at all. You see, the whole wardrobe is luxable. Even some of my shoes and bags.
That makes things easy, doesn't it?
I should say so. Why, new Quick Lux Flakes are simply wonderful. They take such beautiful care of all the lovely new cottons. You know, everything safe in water is safe in Lux.
Ladies, please note, this year's smart cottons are really fine fabrics, and they must be treated gently, just like washable silks, rayons, and woolens. New Quick Lux is so mild, it keeps them new-looking longer.
That's why we use it for everything in our cotton show.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed having you with us tonight, Miss Porter.
Thank you so much. I'm mighty glad to meet you all.
Well, good night, and good luck on your trip home.
Thank you. Good night.
Now, our producer, Mr. DeMille.
Act 2 of After the Thin Man, starring William Powell as Nick Charles and Myrna Loy as Nora. It's 2 hours later. With mystery shrouding the death of Robert Landis, the police have been questioning Selma, who discovered the body. Now the grilling is over, and her nerves are worn to the breaking point.
They're going to arrest me. They're going to arrest me, Nora.
No, of course they don't.
They all believe I did it. Aunt Catherine, everyone.
They don't, Selma. They don't think that at all.
I know. I heard them.
Now, darling.
But I didn't kill him, Nora. I didn't. I'm sure I didn't. I couldn't have.
What? What do you mean?
Nora, you'll help me, won't you?
Tell me what happened. Everything.
He came to the house at midnight to get his things. He said he was leaving me. I tried to stop him. He pushed me away and went down the stairs. I followed him to the front door. While he was letting himself out, I went to the library table. There was a gun there.
A gun, Selma?
I didn't mean to use it. I only wanted to frighten him, to make him come back and listen to me.
All right. Go on.
I went to the door. He was standing on the steps looking up and down the street. And then there was a shot, and he fell.
Where did the shot come from?
I don't know.
All right, darling. Never mind. You've been through enough. You'd better lie down now and rest.
I can't rest. I've got to think. Nora.
Yes?
David.
What about David?
He thinks I'm guilty, too. He thinks I killed Robert.
Selma, how could...
He must think so, or he wouldn't have taken...
He wouldn't have taken what?
Nothing. But he mustn't think that. I couldn't bear it. You must tell him. Tell him I didn't do it.
Couldn't you tell him?
No, somebody might be listening. You go to him. Tell him. Hurry.
Who is it?
It's me, Nora.
Hello, Nora. This is a surprise. Come in.
I got over as soon as I could, David. Selma said that...
Is there anything wrong?
Well, you mean you don't know?
No, what? What's happened?
Well, Robert's been killed.
Killed? That's impossible.
What do you mean?
I saw him only a little while ago.
How long ago?
About 10 o'clock. I met him in front of the house and gave him $25,000 in bonds.
Wait a minute. This is too much for me. Where did he go then?
He went inside the house to get his things.
Oh, then it was when he came out again that he was shot.
I've got to see Selma. Will you come with me?
Come on.
No, you don't. Stay right where you are, the both of you.
What is this? Who are you?
Detective Malloy, Homicide Squad. We've had our eye on you, buddy. Trying to make a getaway, huh?
Are you crazy? Listen, someone's been kidding you, officer.
Sure. Maybe you were kidding, too, when you were seen throwing that gun into the river.
David.
It's all right. There's been a mistake. Tell Selma, will you?
All right.
Come here, sister. You're not telling anybody anything. You're going along with us.
Where?
Down to headquarters.
Oh, you don't understand. I'm Mrs. Nick Charles.
Oh, yeah? And I'm Mother Goose. Come on, step on it.
Hello, Nick.
Yeah?
This is Abrams down at headquarters.
Oh, how are you?
Say, Nick, we picked up a woman a few minutes ago in David Graham's apartment. She claims she's your wife.
My wife?
Yeah. Says her name's Nora. What about it, Nick?
Nora. Oh, sounds like a phony to me. You better put her in the jug till I get down there.
You're the doctor, Nick. In the jug she goes.
Right down here, Mr. Charles.
Thank you, Matron.
Nick, here I am, over here.
Well, hello. Fine way to start the new year, getting thrown in the can.
Nicky, get me out of here.
How long has this thing with David been going on?
Oh, Nick, stop that and get me out of here. I've got something to tell you.
About the case?
Yes.
Oh, no. I'll get you out on one condition. No more cases. No more detecting. Promise?
But this is important.
Do you want me to let her out, Mr. Charles?
Definitely not.
Nicky, please.
Well, promise?
I promise.
All right, let her out, Matron.
Nick, have you been working on the case?
I've been giving it my undivided attention.
What have you found out?
Nothing.
Oh, Nick.
The only new development is that Polly has a brother. Where, we don't know.
What about her and Dancer and Lum Key?
All in the neighborhood at the time of the shooting. We've established that, but we can't prove a thing.
But, Nick, somebody killed him.
Yes, I think that's been proved.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes?
Lieutenant Abrams wants you for questioning.
Questioning? Nicky, they don't think I'm mixed up in this.
Don't worry, darling. If they find you guilty, I'll write you every day.
This way, please.
Nicky.
Now tell me, Mr. Graham, were you and Robert Landis on good terms?
Decidedly not.
On bad terms, Mr. Graham?
Very bad.
You and Mrs. Landis were once engaged, weren't you? Until Landis came along?
Yes.
Ever ask her to divorce him and marry you?
I may have. But she never said she would.
But you hoped she would. And you thought that with him out of the way, she might.
I didn't kill Robert.
No, of course not. But you did pay him to go away.
Yes.
Lieutenant Abrams, my wife.
Oh, come on in. I got to ask her some questions, Mr. Charles. I'm sorry.
Quite all right. Go ahead.
Now, Mrs. Charles, why did you go to Mr. Graham's apartment?
What?
Maybe I'd better leave.
No. Selma had a silly idea that David thought she killed Robert. She wanted me to tell him that she didn't.
Why, I can't imagine how she could think a thing like that. It's ridiculous. I haven't seen her for a couple of days.
Here's Mrs. Landis, boss. No, will you come in, Mrs. Landis?
David. Oh, I didn't want you dragged into this.
No, it's all right, dear.
Mrs. Landis, why did Mr. Graham think you killed your husband?
I never said that. I never thought it for 1 minute.
Don't, David. He had every right to think I did it. He's just trying to protect me. He heard a shot. He rushed up to me and saw me standing near Robert with a gun in my hand. But I didn't fire the shot. It came from the street.
You mean you didn't kill him?
No, look at the gun, David. It hasn't been fired.
Oh, Selma, forgive me.
Oh, of course I forgive you.
Well, that's all cleared up. Go on, Nora.
It isn't cleared up as far as I'm concerned. I've got to have something more than that. Where's that gun, Mrs. Landis? I've got to see that gun.
Well, I haven't got it.
What?
Well, David took it from me. David, where's the gun? What is it, David?
Selma, I thought you were guilty. I thought I was doing the only thing. I threw it away.
You threw it away?
I threw it into the river.
Oh, that's marvelous.
Well, they can get it. I'll show them where I threw it. I'll get divers to go down after it. They'll find it. They must.
Bowie, she don't want that gun back any more than you do. Hey, Mac, swear out a warrant for the arrest of Mrs. Robert Landis on suspicion of murder.
Nicky, are you awake?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I thought you were. Did you say something about scrambled eggs?
No, I didn't. I suppose that means you'd like me to go up and fix some for you.
Oh, no, I don't care about them.
Sure?
Really?
Good. Good night.
Good night. After all, if I want scrambled eggs, I can get them for myself. Of course, I'm not as good a cook as you are, but... Oh, well, don't bother about me. You go on sleeping. I love to watch you sleep. You look so cute. Nicky, have you any pictures of yourself taken as a baby?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. I wanted to see what you looked like.
I'll have one taken in the morning.
Poor Selma. Poor David. Nicky, can you reach the water?
Huh? Oh. Yes, I suppose so. Yes.
Oh, I didn't want it. I just wanted to be sure you could reach it.
Nora, please go to sleep.
I can't. I keep thinking of Selma down in that jail.
Darling, there's nothing to worry about. Tomorrow they'll find the gun. It won't have been fired. Selma will be free.
Then you don't think she did it?
For the 10th time, no.
You're not saying that just to make me happy. You really mean it?
Yeah, I mean it.
Of course you're right. She didn't do it. She couldn't have done it. I don't think I'd kill you if you ran off with another woman.
Thank you, darling.
I might, though.
Nora, don't be morbid. Go to sleep. What in the name of...
Nick, the window.
Keep your head down.
Nick, somebody smashed the window.
No, really?
Look, there's a rock with a note attached to it. Nicky, a note.
Let's see.
What is it, Nick? What does it say?
Silly little woman. I told her to stop writing to me.
Oh, darling. Please, read it.
Mr. Nick Charles, if you want to know something about the murder of Robert Landis, get a line on Phil Burns, the guy Polly says is her brother. He's an ex-con and was married to Polly in Topeka, Kansas 3 years ago.
Married 3 years ago?
What are we supposed to do? Send him an anniversary present? Look at the way this fellow spells Topeka. Topeker.
What's the matter with that?
Nothing, darling. Good night.
Oh, Nick, you can't go back to sleep now. Phone Abrams.
What, and have him here keeping us up all night?
Oh, don't you see? If Phil is her husband, then he shot Robert because he found out about him and Polly. Oh, Nicky, you've got to call him.
Just as you say. You hand me the phone.
Oh, isn't it wonderful? Everything's working out beautifully. All we have to do is find this fellow Phil Burns, and we've got the murderer. Here, darling, call him and tell... Now, who can that be?
Hello?
Hello, Nick. This is Abrams.
Oh, I was just going to call you.
Yeah? Well, maybe you better get down here. You know that guy, Phil Burns, Polly's brother?
Yeah, what about him?
We traced him to his hotel.
Did you find him?
Yeah, but somebody else found him first. He's been murdered. Well, there he is. That's the way we found him, Nick. Dead for 2 hours at least. Strangled.
Yeah. Looks like he was beaten up a bit before the strangling set in. Any fingerprints?
All over the place. We're checking on him now.
What else did you find?
Nah, nothing much. He had a .38 in his drawer, 6 bullets in it, and a little dough. Oh, yeah, and this key. I guess it's the key to Polly's apartment. It's got her number stamped on it.
Another good guess would be that Solomon Landis didn't do this.
Fair enough. But he wasn't killed the way Landis was either.
Might be a good idea to check the chambers on that .38. He might have fired it and slipped in a new shell.
Okay. Anything else on your mind?
Yes. That key to Polly's apartment. Could I borrow that for an hour?
Sure. Here.
Maybe you better give me a skeleton key, too, just for good measure.
Okay. What are you looking for?
I haven't the faintest idea. Just a hunch. Call you later.
Okay.
Nick, what did you find in there?
Dead man.
Is that all?
Isn't that enough?
Where are we going now?
Well, I don't know about you. I'm going to visit Polly Burns.
At this time of night? Without a chaperone?
Nora, this is purely business.
For me, too. Come on, darling. She's not home. Miss Burns keeps late hours, doesn't she? Nick, where'd you get that key?
From Abrams. It was in Phil Burns' pocket.
Oh, it's good you had an answer for that.
Go on in. Be quiet.
Here's a light switch.
You turn it on?
What do you expect to find in here?
I don't know.
Well, how do I know what to look for?
Don't look for anything. Go over there and sit down.
Suppose she comes in. What do we do?
Tell her it's a surprise party.
Anything in the drawers?
Hey, give me a chance.
Nick, what do you suppose people want a hole in the ceiling?
They don't.
Some people do. Look up there.
Where?
Up there. See. In the corner. A little hole in the plaster. What could that mean?
Well, it might mean that the ceiling's falling down. Or it might...
What?
What's the number of this apartment?
3D.
I wonder who lives in apartment 4D. Let's go upstairs and find out.
Here it is. 4D. This is right over Polly Burns' apartment.
What's the name on the bell?
Anderson. Say, where did you dig up all these keys?
We're going to visit Mr. Anderson.
Or Miss Anderson. It doesn't say which. Anybody home?
Put on the light. Let's see. That hole in the ceiling downstairs was right under this corner. If I'm right, these floorboards ought to be loose. Uh-oh.
I get it. Somebody took this apartment so they could see what went on downstairs.
Exactly.
Look through the hole, Nicky. What do you see? Well?
That's funny.
What is it?
I can't see anything. The hole's been plugged up from the other side.
What? But how...
There's somebody down there now. Somebody who knows about this peephole. Whoever it is plugged it up while we were coming upstairs.
Nick.
You stay here.
No, Nick. It may be the murderer. Nicky, wait.
I've got to see who it is.
Listen. Whoever it is just left. I can hear him going downstairs. Nick, let him go.
No, we've got to catch him before he gets to the street.
Nick, wait for me. Well, did you see who it was?
No. He went through that door at the end of the hall.
That must go to the cellar.
Wait here and don't move.
Nick, be careful. It's black as pitch down there.
Right back, darling. Would you like to come on upstairs? Or do I have to come and get you? All right. Have it your way. Come on, I can see you over there. Come on out, or I'll...
Nick, are you all right?
I'm okay. Come on down.
I can't see. Nicky, did he get you?
No, but I didn't get him either. He got out through a window over there.
Oh, darling, I was so scared. Where are you? Oh, put your arms around me, darling. Are you sure you're all right? Oh, Nicky, you're bleeding.
What are you talking about? I'm not bleeding.
Nick, where are you?
I'm here.
Well, then who's this man over here?
You have just heard Act 2 of After the Thin Man with William Powell and Myrna Loy. During this brief intermission before Mr. DeMille presents Act 3, we bring you another story about Mary.
She's washing dishes. Oh, boy, is she mad. I say, look at her hands. They're all red. And coarse. Here, let's see your soap, Mary. Oh, it's harsh. And soap that's harsh pecks away at your hands. No wonder they're red and rough. Here's a friendly tip.
Try New Quick Lux. It's so kind to your hands, so mild, so pure. I want you to hear about our one-hand test of 5 dishwashing soaps, including Lux. Now, here's the story in the words of one of the women who took the test, Mrs. Hugh Rennie of New York. She says,
For 20 minutes, 3 times a day, and that's just about the time I spend doing my own dishes, I dip one hand in Lux suds and the other in suds from another soap.
Mrs. Rennie took that test for several weeks under conditions similar to home dishwashing. She goes on to say,
At the end of the test, my Lux hand was still nice and smooth, while the other hand was coarse and red. I hadn't realized there was such a difference in dishwashing soaps. I'll never use anything but Lux.
Hundreds of women took that one-hand test with similar results. It proved Lux kindest to hands. Try it yourself and see. Ask for the generous large box of New Quick Lux tomorrow and use it for dishes every day. It's so thrifty. Even in hard water, it gives more suds, ounce for ounce, than any of 10 other leading soaps tested. It's fast, too, yet it costs you no more. Remember, New Quick Lux in the same familiar box. We pause now for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The curtain rises on Act 3 of After the Thin Man. In the thick blackness of the cellar, Nora has bumped into a man she thought was Nick. Now she discovers her mistake, and Nick rushes to her side. With quick, tense fingers, he strikes a match. There, in the wavering light, a man stands, propped against the wall. As they stare at his gleaming white face, he slumps to the floor at their feet.
Nick,
All right, take it easy.
what's the matter with him? Is he...
Yeah. He's dead. Shot.
But when was he? I've seen that man before.
You know him? Who is he?
Light another match, quick.
Well?
Of course I know him. His name is Pedro Dominguez. He used to be my father's gardener about 6 years ago.
Your father's gardener? Oh, that does a lot of good. Come on, we better call Abrams. What'd you find out, Lieutenant?
Was I right about his name?
Yes, you were, Mrs. Charles. Pedro Dominguez. But he wasn't a gardener anymore. He was janitor of this building. Probably shot about 5 hours before you found him. But here's a very funny thing.
Go ahead. We could stand a laugh right now.
The telephone company tells us that about 11:30 last night, that'd be just before he was shot, someone here called up information and asked for Nick Charles' number.
Our number? What would Pedro Dominguez be calling Nick for?
I don't know. Do you, Nick?
I can't imagine. I haven't even heard his name for 6 years.
Did you remember him when you saw his face?
No.
That's funny, seeing he used to be Mrs. Charles' gardener.
Who remembers a gardener unless he squirts a hose at you?
Did you recognize him right away, Mrs. Charles?
I had to look twice. He's a lot grayer than he used to be.
Hey, by the way, what did you find out about the person in the apartment over Polly Burns?
Not a thing. Not a fingerprint in the place. Not a stitch of clothes. Only a hunk of lead pipe and a ladder.
Piece of lead pipe and a ladder. Well, that's interesting. Anything in Pedro's books?
No, just that someone named Anderson took the apartment a week ago, paid cash in advance.
That's all, huh?
That's all. And the name is Anderson. No front name. No Mr., Mrs., or Miss.
That's just dandy. You know, I've got a feeling that if we could just find out who took that room, we might have our murderer.
Well, what do you think we ought to do?
Get them all together in the Anderson apartment. Everyone that's mixed up in this. Let's shake them all up and see what happens.
You're on.
Are you going to take the murderer tonight?
Yeah, we're going to try.
How are you going to do it, Nicky?
I haven't the slightest idea. I'm just going to listen. Pray that somebody makes a slip. Just one slip. Lieutenant, get them all here?
All set and waiting, Nick. Picked up Dancer and Lumpkey at the Lychee. Polly was with them. Then there's that David Graham guy and your wife's cousin, Selma Landis.
Anyone else?
Yeah, a fat dame they call Aunt Catherine. I brought her along for luck.
Swell.
Oh, say, before you go in, I checked Phil Burns' apartment. Dancer's fingerprints were all over the joint.
Dancers, you sure?
Sure, I'm sure.
You haven't told him, have you?
Not yet.
All right, don't.
What's your plan, Nick?
Build up a case against each of them. Throw all we've got at them and throw it hard enough to bounce.
I'll make it bounce, all right.
And keep them talking.
Nick, come on. The party's getting dull.
Coming? Good evening. Shut that door, please, Lieutenant.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I asked you all down here because we've just found that another murder has been committed. He's a man I think you all know. Pedro Dominguez.
Pedro killed?
Yes. What do you know about it, Polly?
Nothing. I only saw him a couple of times when I went down to pay my rent.
What about you, Dancer? You're in and out of this apartment. You must have known him.
Sure, I know him. So what?
You, Lumpkey?
I never been in this house before.
You knew him, Selma.
Well, no, I don't think
You remember Selma. He was our gardener 6 years ago.
Oh.
David, you remember Pedro Dominguez?
Yes, vaguely. A man with long white mustaches.
What did you know about him, Mr. Graham?
Nothing. That was 6 years ago. I haven't seen him since.
Nicholas, I can't see what possible connection this can have with us.
It's very simple, Aunt Catherine. You see, Pedro and Robert were both shot with the same gun.
I have nothing to do with this.
Now, there was some monkey business going on we want to find out about. Seems that 1 week ago, Pedro rented an apartment to someone calling himself or herself Anderson. Did you ever see this Anderson, Polly?
No.
Did you ever hear anyone in the apartment just over you?
No.
I thought not. This Anderson intended to climb down into your apartment one night with the aid of a ladder and polish off Robert with this lead pipe. Then he was going to climb up to his place again and leave you holding the bag for Robert's murder. Now, do you know anyone who would be interested enough in you to do that?
Why, no.
You're Dancer's girl, aren't you?
I work for him.
That's not what he asked.
Well?
Did Dancer know that you were going away with Robert?
Why?
Come on. You told us before.
You said you'd keep that a secret. I'll never trust a cop again.
If you made a dicker with the police, okay, Polly. But that ladder stuff's a lot of malarkey, Nick. No one did come down that ladder, and Landis wasn't killed in her place.
The only reason the murderer didn't kill him that way was because he was found out. Pedro came in yesterday to clean up Anderson's apartment and discover the loose boards on the floor. He didn't like the looks of things, so he put a new lock on the door. When Anderson came in, he found he was locked out. He heard Pedro telephoning me, and he killed him.
So what?
So, who is Anderson?
I'll bite. Who?
Polly. Phil had a key to your apartment, and Dancer had one.
Yeah.
Who else?
Nobody.
He's trying to hang this murder rap on us to protect his own family. That Selma dame. She knocked her husband off. Everybody knows that.
I didn't.
And then you got your boyfriend, David, to throw away the gun.
That's a lie.
Now, just a minute, please. Look, Dancer, let's come clean. You and Polly and Lum Key were out to shake Robert Landis down for $25,000, right?
Oh, sure. Then I suppose I knock him off and stir up all this fuss before I get the dough. What kind of a stumble bum does that make me out to be?
You're the kind of a stumble bum that left your fingerprints all over the room when you killed Phil Burns.
Phil? Phil's dead?
Yes, strangled.
Well, I didn't do it.
Then why did you go to his place?
Because I thought he'd gummed up my game. I figured he'd try to stick up Landers and had to kill him. So I pushed him around a little to learn him manners. And when I left him, he had a split lip and a couple of dents in him. But he was just as much alive as you are, if that means anything.
Polly, who knew Phil was your husband?
What?
You were married, weren't you?
Yeah, but...
So Phil was your husband?
As if you didn't know.
I never knew till now. But I wish I had, Polly.
Didn't you ever tell anyone that you were married, Polly?
No.
Would Phil have told?
No.
Did you and Phil talk about it?
Yeah, one night last week. But no one could have heard. We were alone, down in my room.
Alone? Don't forget Anderson could hear everything that went on in your room. Lieutenant, when was Phil Burns killed?
Oh, about 2, near as we can figure.
At 3:30, Anderson threw this note in at my window. He was beginning to use some of the information he'd gathered while he was up here. Dancer, how do you spell Topeka?
None of your business.
This note is a poor attempt at illiteracy. The easy words are spelled wrong and the tough ones right. Like to see it, Lumkey? It was meant just to steer me down to Phil's place to find his body. And your fingerprints, Dancer. Someone's framing you, Dancer.
Yeah?
You say you don't know this Pedro, Lumkey?
No.
Well, I've got a picture of him right here. This picture was taken about 6 years ago when...
Nick, what is it?
Nothing. Except that all this time I've been waiting for someone to make a slip. And someone has made it.
Who?
We've been wrong. This wasn't a killing for money. It was a murder of hatred. Revenge. Polly, what did Phil go to the pen for?
Blackmail.
Blackmail. David, when were you supposed to give Robert the money to go away?
This morning.
In cash?
Yes.
But when he decided to go last night, you had to give him bonds.
Yes.
Where were you going to get cash on New Year's Day? A bank holiday.
Funny, I forgot about that.
No, you didn't, David. You never meant to give Robert that money. You didn't want him to go away. You wanted to kill him. You were going to get even with him for taking Selma away from you.
Nora, is he fooling?
Sure. And you were fooling when you said you hadn't seen Pedro for 6 years. You said Pedro had long white mustaches. Well, he's got long white mustaches now. But look at this picture. There he is 6 years ago. His mustache was neither white nor long. You didn't notice him 6 years ago any more than I did. You remember him as he was last night, when you shot him. You killed him, and then you killed Robert. Phil saw you do it. He was going to blackmail you, so you had to kill him, too. And then you threw that note in my window, hoping to put me off your trail.
David, don't let him say these terrible things. Tell him it isn't true.
Ask him why he threw away your gun, Selma. He knew it hadn't been fired. He knew you only had to show it to prove your innocence, yet he threw it away. Ask him why he did that.
David, why don't you speak?
Wasn't it because you hated her as much as Robert? Wasn't it because you wanted to get even with her, too? Wasn't it because you wanted to see her hang for Robert's murder?
David.
Tell her the truth now, David. You don't have to pretend anymore.
That is the truth. I've hated you, Selma and Robert, ever since you threw me over for him. I've been watching, waiting for the time when I could get even with you for having ruined my life. I did kill Robert, but not the way I wanted to. It was too easy, too quick. I wanted to see him suffer the way he'd made me suffer. And you, I wanted to see you go gradually madder and madder as the day came when you were going to hang. Well, I'm not going to see you hang. But I'm still going to see you die. Put out that gun.
Don't be a fool, David.
Get out of the way. I've got 6 bullets. One for her and one for myself. And the rest for anyone who tries to stop me. Get out of the way, Charles. Get out of my way.
I get him.
Okay, Graham. I'll take that gun now.
Nice work, Lumkey. Nice work.
Nick, he saved you. And you sent his brother up.
Oh, sure. Mr. Charles sent him up. #1 detective. I don't like my brother. I like his girls. I'm your friend. Oh, you bet you.
Tired, darling?
Not very.
Well, can you believe it? We're alone. No reporters, no friends, no surprises.
I suppose we really should decide where we're going.
Oh, do you care?
No, but I haven't any clothes.
All the better. You won't have to pack. All I need in the world is you and a toothbrush. Hey, What's that you're doing?
I'm knitting something.
Oh, you haven't gotten very far with it.
Yes, I have. There. It's done.
Done? Why, hey, that looks like... Is that a baby's sock?
And you call yourself a detective?
Why, Mrs. Charles.
We draw the curtain on After the Thin Man. In a moment, Mr. DeMille returns with our stars. While we're waiting, let's talk about babies. You know, families often speculate on the chances of the stork bringing twins or triplets. Well, here are some figures that may interest you. The chances of having twins is about 1 in 84. Of having triplets, 1 in 7,500. That makes triplets a pretty rare occurrence. Mrs. Frances Bardall of Holbrook, Massachusetts, was one of the mothers who drew the lucky number in 1939, and she's doubly lucky now because she has new Quick Lux to help her in caring for her 3 small babies. She says,
The triplets have such sensitive skins, I wouldn't dream of washing their clothes in harsh soaps or rubbing them with cake soap. I just won't take chances on having woolens or diapers getting rough and scratchy.
She's a wise mother, isn't she? She goes on to say,
New Quick Lux is so mild and gentle. It's the only thing I'd use for the baby's clothes. It's so safe for everything, safe in water alone. I can depend on it never to make woolens harsh and scratchy or fade the pretty colors of little dresses and sunsuits.
Yes, new Quick Lux is so wonderfully gentle. And so easy to use, too. So fast. In water as cool as your hand, it dissolves 3 times as fast as any of 10 of the leading soaps tested. Ask for the generous big box of new Quick Lux tomorrow. It comes in the same familiar package and costs you no more. Here's Mr. DeMille with our stars.
As Bill Powell and Myrna Loy return to the microphone, we offer our congratulations to the Thin Man on some first-class detective work.
Cecil, you're seldom wrong, but I'll have to mark that one up against you. However, if it's any consolation, everybody makes the same mistake.
Brace yourself for a shock, Mr. DeMille. Bill is not and never was the Thin Man.
He isn't. He never has been. Mercy, Myrna, can't we even believe what we see in the movies?
Just for the record, the Thin Man was murdered in the first Thin Man picture. We haven't seen him since.
Except in the title, where he seems amazingly healthy.
What's in a name? Call the picture by any name you like, so long as you and Bill remain as our favorite detectives. What's going to happen next to Nora and Nick?
Well, there's another Thin Man picture planned, but we haven't started making it yet.
It's called The Shadow of the Thin Man. Very promising manhunt.
I have entire confidence in both of you.
By the way, Cecil, didn't I hear you say that you're going to do Showboat next week?
You certainly did, Bill, and we are.
Who's going to be in your cast, Mr. DeMille?
We'll have Irene Dunn, Alan Jones, and Charles Winninger. They were all in the cast of the motion picture, and they'll all be here on this stage to bring us the exciting drama of Showboat and the great song hits by Jerome Kern. We embark at the usual time next Monday night for this cruise of adventure and romance along the Mississippi, and we hope you'll all be on board.
Showboat is practically a command to listen. Good night, Cecil.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. We'll call you two on another case soon. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Flakes, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Irene Dunn, Alan Jones, and Charles Winninger in Showboat. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Heard in tonight's play were Julie Bannon as Selma, Fred Mackay as David, Edward Marr as Abrams, Mary Lou Simpson as Polly, Warren Ash as Dancer, Wally Mayer as Lum Key, and Arthur Q. Bryan, Abe Reynolds, Walter White, Inez Seabury, Tristan Coffin, Eric Snowden, Russell Fillmore, Lou Merrill, and Fred Shields. The American Red Cross needs millions of dollars for European war relief work. They're asking for your contribution now. Anything you can give. The place to give, your local Red Cross chapter. The time, as soon as you possibly can. William Powell and Myrna Loy appeared tonight through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. They will soon be seen together on the screen in If I Love You Again. Our music was directed by Louis Silvers, and your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. In our starring Hollywood cast this evening is Mr. Peter Lorre, who appears as a mysterious gentleman called George Ravel. Miss Wendy Berry plays our worried heroine, Marjorie. Mr. George Zuko is the lawyer, Alex Stevens. The story called The Moment of Darkness is tonight's tale of suspense. If you have been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation and then withhold a solution until the last possible moment. And so, with A Moment of Darkness, and with the performances of Peter Lorre, Wendy Berry, George Zuko, and our other players, we again hope to keep you in suspense. The Train Bleu crack express train from Paris to the French Riviera, which in these carefree days before the war used to make the journey from Paris to Nice overnight. At the Gare du Sud on this particular mild spring evening, the train with its glistening wagon-lits or sleeping cars waits in a station filled with smoke and the iron coughing of engines. You can hear the excited crowd and the slamming of compartment doors. You can see the guard standing by with his watch in hand, with his horn ready to blow as a signal.
En voiture, messieurs les voyageurs! En voiture!
Better get in, Emily. The train's just about ready to start.
Commotion there. The last moment just before the signal, a girl in a light summer dress, carrying a small suitcase, hurries along the platform towards car number 10. The girl is blonde and evidently English, and as she hurries towards the guard...
En voiture! Dépêchez-vous, mademoiselle. Hurry up, please.
Oh, yes, of course. Is this carriage number 10?
Oui, mademoiselle, numéro 10. Hurry up, please.
Thank you. I'll get in.
Et maintenant...
Must be at least a mile long. Car 10. Compartment number 6. Compartment number 6. Compartment... Oh, here it is.
Yes, come in.
Mr. Stevens, Oh, I beg your pardon.
That's quite all right. Won't you come in?
I thought this was Mr. Stevens' compartment.
It is his compartment. I'm sharing it with him.
He is on the train, isn't he?
Oh, yes. He's going to look for some luggage that failed to turn up. In the meantime, won't you come in and sit down?
Thank you.
As an old friend of Toby Stevens, why do you smile?
Nothing. It's just odd to hear a dignified man like Mr. Stevens called Toby. That's all.
Well, it suits him. As an old friend of his anyway, may I introduce myself? I'm Ken Blake, on vacation from the American consulate in London.
How do you do? My name is Gray, Marjorie Gray. I most particularly wanted to have a word with Mr. Stevens.
Miss Gray, will you pardon my impertinence if I ask...
Ask what?
Whether it's about your Aunt Hester at Monte Carlo and the man who seemed so determined to scare her to death.
You know about that?
Yes, a little. After all, that's why Toby's left his law practice and come all the way from London. He said...
Mr. Stevens.
Marjorie. Great Scott, what are you doing here?
I came up from Monte Carlo, especially to see you. I thought I'd find you in Paris, but when I got to your hotel, they told me you'd gone. Cook said they'd reserved a compartment on this train for you. So, well, here I am.
But why?
Before you see Aunt Hester, Mr. Stevens, I want to know what you meant by that letter you wrote me.
I meant exactly what I said, Marjorie. I'm going to expose this faker, George Revel.
Excuse me, if you two want to talk, I'll just clear out of here.
No, Ken, stay where you are.
Really, Mr. Stevens?
You've made an impression on her, Ken. When the girl suddenly becomes thoroughly British after spending half her life on the Riviera, well, you've made an impression.
Don't talk like that, Toby. She won't get annoyed with you for saying it. She'll just get annoyed with me.
Marjorie, this is Ken Blake.
We've met, thanks.
I asked him to come along with me, and for a very good reason.
Indeed?
Ken was for years at the American consulate in Paris. He knows all the heads of the Sûreté Générale, that's the Scotland Yard of France. And in particular, he knows the great detective Flamand, who's the chef de Sûreté. I thought Ken might be very useful when we nab Revel.
But I tell you, Revel is dangerous.
Dangerous, my eye.
Something's going to happen. I know something dreadful's going to happen.
Now, let's face the situation, Marjorie. Your Aunt Hester is middle-aged, wealthy, and,
Oh, if only Uncle Paul hadn't died. He was the decentest person I ever knew.
But he did die, my dear, and Hester can't be consoled. She can't eat, she can't sleep, she can't think of anything except getting in touch with his spirit. Along comes this faker Revel to give seances.
I wonder if he is a faker.
You're not falling for this Tommy rot, surely?
Really, Mr. Blake? If I'd asked for your advice in this matter...
I beg your pardon, Miss Gray. When we get to Nice, I'll take the first train back to Paris.
No, wait, please. I didn't mean to be rude. It's nice of you to help us, but it's the whole atmosphere of Monte Carlo.
Well, that's quite all right, my dear. We understand.
Of course.
There's Aunt Hester in that villa over the Mediterranean. There's Revel, all thin and quiet and swarthy, with those somber-looking eyes of his. He seems to dominate her, just as Mr. Stevens used to.
Dominate her, my dear? That's rather a strong word for an easygoing old buffer like me.
The things Revel does at those seances are terrifying. I don't know whether he's an imposter or not, but I am sure nobody else can do what he does.
Now there, Marjorie, is where you're wrong. I can.
You can?
Yes. I promise to duplicate in front of your aunt every single trick Revel ever performed.
Oh, but that's impossible.
Is it? Wait and see.
I'll put it up to Mr. Blake. It isn't merely that Revel is tied up, tied hand and foot in a chair, while these horrible things are going on. I know there are people who can get out of ropes and back into them again. But Revel lets you take one precaution that shows there can't be any trickery.
Oh? And what is that precaution?
Just before the lights go out, he takes a piece of white paper.
Well?
He puts one under each foot. You take a pencil and draw an outline around the shoe on the paper. If he moved the millionth fraction of an inch, it would show in the outline later. But it never does.
Well, look here, Toby, that's a bad one. Why does it strike you as being so funny?
Because I can do it, too. Just give me a moment of darkness, that's all.
You mean he gets out of his shoes or something like that?
No, he could hardly get out of his shoes and back into them without disturbing the outline.
Then he doesn't leave his chair after all.
On the contrary, he can be all over the room.
Well, how in Satan's name does he do it?
My dear fellow, there's nothing simple.
The Villa Bijou, Monte Carlo, the next evening. On the lighted terrace, that white villa, overlooking the olive groves and the sea, three people are seated at their ease, enjoying the night air. Below glitters the town, a white palm garden. But even its lamps are dimmed by the firework illuminations from the Promenade des Anglais. When the Principality of Monaco celebrates its ruler's birthday, Great rockets go hissing upwards to burst and bloom in colored fires against a black sky.
I don't like those fireworks. The noise upsets me. I wish they'd stop.
Never mind the fireworks, Hester. You've heard my proposition. Give me an answer.
Oh, what's more, you spilled broth on your jacket at dinner. You're the clumsiest eater I ever saw. Here. Let me take a handkerchief to it.
Please, Aunt Hester, won't you answer Mr. Stevens?
Why don't you two let me alone, both of you?
We're only trying to help you. Don't you believe that?
Oh, yes, I believe it, but I'm happy. I talked with my husband twice last week.
Now, look here, Hester. This has got to stop.
Why?
Ravel's a fraud, and I can prove it.
If Monsieur Ravel is a fraud, what has he gained by this? Has he not asked for money?
I don't know, has he?
No, not a penny.
You haven't changed your will by any chance. People do queer things sometimes that even their solicitors don't know about.
Oh, no, dear, I haven't changed my will. When I die, Marjorie inherits everything. I am a lonely woman. I'm getting old. I haven't got much to look forward to. Now, why don't you go your way and let me go mine?
Suppose Ravel is a fraud. Just suppose it.
Well, all right. Have your way.
You wouldn't like to think you'd been deliberately tricked and imposed on now, would you?
Oh, no.
Now, listen, Hester. If I prove to you these so-called miracles were really tricks that I can do myself.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Alex Stevens.
I offer to prove that here and now. Would that shake your faith a little?
Yes, I suppose it would. But how did you become so clever all of a sudden?
How did you become so gullible all of a sudden? You used to scoff at this sort of thing. You used to be gay and lively and go to the casino.
Well, that was before Paul died. You're shivering, Marjorie. If you feel cold, put on a wrap.
I'm not cold. It's only...
Only what?
Oh, got a kind of presentiment that there's something dreadful hanging over us. I can't tell what direction it's taking or who's in danger. But I'm sure it's going to burst. Just as sure that...
By George, look at that rocket.
Yes. Red and gold stars. And a deathly white blaze like the life we're living. You can see every leaf in the garden. Every blade of grass.
And we can also see, look there, Ravel and Ken Blake coming up the path.
This Ken Blake, Mr. Stevens. Are you sure he's quite honest?
My dear Marjorie, Ken's all right. I've known him for years.
I thought he came here to help expose Ravel. But he and Ravel are as thick as thieves. What sort of game is going on here?
Game, mademoiselle? You spoke of a game?
Yes, Monsieur Ravel, I did.
So did I, friend Ravel. Are you ready for my demonstration tonight?
Demonstration?
In the seance room upstairs. You claim you can bring back the dead.
Pardon me, monsieur, I claim nothing. When I'm in trance, I cannot tell what happens.
But I can. I'm going to make ghosts walk by perfectly natural means.
You know, Monsieur Stevens, I don't understand your logic.
Logic?
Yes, you wish to, how do you put it? Expose me? But how will you expose me by these childish tricks? If I show you a counterfeit 10-pound note, does that prove there's no Bank of England?
I'm not going to argue subtleties with you. You can always beat me there. I'm a plain, ordinary man with a little common sense to back me up.
No. Come on, my friend. Not an ordinary man, surely.
Just exactly what are you hinting at?
Yes, I'd like to know that, too.
Oh, Madame Hester, believe me, I didn't mean to upset you. I wouldn't upset you for anything.
No, I'll bet you wouldn't.
Well, I kiss your hand, Madame. I'm all apologies. Well, let this gentleman do what he likes. But I warn him, it is dangerous.
Dangerous? How is it dangerous?
That's the first time you've spoken, Mr. Blake. Why have you been so quiet?
Please, Marjorie, please now, be a good girl and stop interrupting.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aunt Hester, but he's been muttering to himself and moving from one foot to the other and looking guilty.
Confound it, I'm not looking guilty.
Aren't you?
No, it's a hot night. I don't like this business at all. Why will a seance be dangerous?
Why? Because we shall be tampering with evil forces.
Evil forces, my foot.
Oh, you doubt it?
Yes.
This brave Monsieur Stevens is challenging the unseen world. He's mocking at forces he does not understand. Believe me, monsieur, they are not mocked without danger.
I'll risk that, thanks.
Well, up in a seance room, with a door bolted on the inside, we shall be at their mercy. The evil forces, the elementals, will wax and grow strong. They can take us in their grip, as I take this walking stick and...
You've got strong hands, Monsieur Ravel.
The hands of evil spirits are stronger. Much stronger.
I'm afraid. I wonder if we ought to do this.
I've been wondering the same thing. What does your aunt say?
Oh, but I don't know what to say. I'm so confused. And I want to break down and cry. I suppose we'd better do it, or Alex Stevens will never let me hear the end of it.
For the last time, monsieur, will you be warned of danger?
No.
Very well. Oh, Madame Hester.
Yes, Monsieur Ravel.
Do you believe that I'm an impostor?
No, dear, of course not. But
But in your heart, you're not yet convinced.
Well, I don't know. I'm not such a fool as some people seem to think.
But if something did happen, something to show there are living forces beyond this world, it would convince you utterly?
Oh, yes, I suppose it would.
Then, shall we allow Monsieur Stevens to go on with his demonstration?
I have a feeling we shouldn't do this. Oh, I'm afraid.
Upstairs at the Villa Bijou, there is a small, bare, deeply carpeted room. Its only furniture consists of a round table, 5 chairs, and a large cabinet phonograph. There is only one door, and there are no windows. In one chair, a little way back from the table, sits Mr. Alexander Stevens. He is tied hand and foot, the outline of his shoes drawn with pencil on pieces of paper, so that he cannot move.
Now then, friend Raphael. Have you quite finished tying me up?
Oh, yes. Yes, and I bet you won't get out of these knots, sir.
Well, we'll see about that. Are the rest of you ready?
Yes, all right. Oh, dear, I wish I'd put some smelling salts in my handbag.
Well, what do you want us to do now?
We'll have conditions exactly as they are for Mr. Ravel. I'll sit in this chair back from the table. You 4 sit round the table, clasping hands to form a circle.
All right, let's get on with it.
Ken, will you start the gramophone? I believe it's customary, Mr. Ravel, to have hymns played at the beginning of a seance to establish the proper frame of mind.
Yes, monsieur, that's true. You fool.
What did you say?
Oh, nothing, monsieur. Please continue.
Start the gramophone, Ken. When you've done that, turn out the lights on that switch by the door. Then join the circle. Clasp each other's hands tightly and don't let go unless...
Unless what?
Well, unless something gets me.
Be careful, monsieur.
Go on, please. Start the gramophone.
All right, here goes.
Now the lights, Ken. Switch off the lights.
Lights? Yes. There you are. It's pitch dark. I can't see my way back to the table.
Here, Ken. Here's my hand.
Thank you.
Mine on the other side, Mr. Blake.
Thank you. I've got my bearings now.
Are all of you clasping the hands of the next person? Then quiet and wait for what's going to happen.
Ken, look.
Look where?
Over there, where Mr. Stevens is sitting.
What about it?
There's a luminous spot in the dark, about the size of a shilling. Shh. Quiet, please. Did anything touch the back of your neck?
No.
What was that? It's Alex Stevens. I know it.
This was not on a program, madame. Break the circle and get those lights on.
The luminous spot is still there. Oh, hurry, Ken.
I can't see my way in the dark. I don't know which direction the lights are. Wait a minute. Here's the wall. If I grope along here, I ought to find the switch. Yes, here it is. Lights.
Quiet. Silence, mademoiselle, if you please.
What's wrong with Mr. Stevens? What's that sticking out of his chest?
It's the handle of a dagger. And a good deal of blood has soaked through his coat, too. Oh, Monsieur Blake, will you turn off this gramophone?
Yes, certainly. But you're not saying that Toby Stevens is dead?
I'm afraid he is, my friend. That's a direct heart wound. Perhaps 10 seconds of intense agony, and then the end. Oh, is the door still bolted from the inside?
Yes.
Then we are all alone, here, the 4 of us. This rash gentleman, one imagines, did not kill himself. He's too well tied up.
I know who killed him. Mr. George Ravel. You did, with luminous paint.
I killed him, mademoiselle? With luminous paint?
I mean, that was part of the trick. You tied him up. You were the only one who touched him.
And? What of that, mademoiselle?
Luminous paint doesn't show up in the light. You smeared a little of it on his coat. That showed you exactly where to strike in the dark.
I commend your good sense, madame. But there are two excellent reasons why I had nothing to do with this. The first reason I must keep to myself, but the second reason can easily be proved.
Well, what is it?
Well, up to the time that man screamed, you yourself were holding my right hand, and Madame Hester was holding my left hand. Did either of you let go at any time?
No. No, that is, I didn't. What about you, Aunt Hester?
No, Marjorie did. I didn't let go either. He never moved.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Well, monsieur, speak up.
I was holding Marjorie's hand on one side and her aunt's on the other. And they didn't move either. Nobody let go or left the circle.
That's true.
Consequently, none of us could have killed Toby Stevens.
Yes, it is true.
Somebody must have sneaked in here.
Oh, no. As you said yourself, the door is bolted on the inside.
Then who the devil did kill him?
Well, that's the question. Has anybody ever seen that dagger before?
No. It looks like one of those curio things you buy in the shops.
Yes, and with the design of wooden scroll work on the handle. No fingerprints will show. Nothing else, except some musical instruments. A tambourine, an accordion, and a speaking trumpet. You know, I blame myself for this.
You ought to.
Why?
Because you killed him. Don't ask me how, but I know why.
Indeed, mademoiselle. You found my motive.
Yes, I have. You've got Aunt Hester fully believing in you now, haven't you?
Easy, Marjorie.
In another minute, you'll be talking about forces and elementals and heaven knows what. You'll be saying it was a spirit hand that killed Mr. Stevens because nobody else could have.
Please, Marjorie, brace up. Someone's got to send for the police.
Why don't you send for the police, Ken? Couldn't you help us there?
Help you? How?
Mr. Stevens said you knew the heads of the Sûreté. He said you knew this man Flamand, who's supposed to be the greatest detective in France.
Oh, but this isn't French territory. Monte Carlo is the independent state of Monaco.
I'm sorry, Marjorie. Ordinarily, I might have helped.
You mean you won't help us?
I'm sorry, Marjorie. I can't.
Then I've got to help myself. George Ravel, you killed Mr. Stevens. But how?
Yes, how?
24 hours later, 24 hours of blind puzzling. In the railway station at Nice, 9 miles from Monte Carlo, the night express for Paris is already underway. The guard has blown his signal, and the great wheels grind. A young man, hatless and worried, pushes through the crowd past the already moving train.
Non, monsieur. C'est défendu. Vous êtes trop tard.
Too late, nothing. I'm getting aboard this train.
Prenez garde, monsieur. Prenez garde.
I'm sorry to have caused you any trouble, guard. But do you happen to know whether... Marjorie.
Ken Blake. What are you doing on this train?
Exactly the question I wanted to ask you. Walk along the corridor with me, will you?
All right.
Marjorie, you little idiot. What's the idea of running away?
If it's any of your business, Mr. Blake, I'm not running away. I'm merely going to Paris.
You were told to stay in Monte Carlo. Don't you know you can land in jail for this?
They'll put you in jail, too, won't they?
Yes, I suppose so. But what's the idea of going to Paris?
First of all, I had to get Aunt Hester away from that man, Ravel. She really thinks he can call up ghosts now.
Is your aunt on this train?
Yes, in that compartment there. Second, I'm going to Paris for some real help. I'm going to the Sûreté. I'm going to see this man, Flamand.
You won't find Flamand in Paris, Marjorie. And you'll certainly never get him to arrest Georges Ravel.
Oh? And why not?
Because, my dear idiot, Georges Ravel is Flamand.
What are you saying?
The man who calls himself Ravel is really Flamand, the head of the whole French Detective Bureau. He made me promise not to tell anybody.
And that's why you've been looking so guilty for 2 days.
Yes, I tried to tip you off today, but the police were with us all the time.
So he is a fake spiritual medium. Mr. Stevens was right about that. And I still say I'm right about the other thing. Whoever he is, Ravel killed Mr. Stevens.
But how and why?
Oh, I don't know. This alleged detective. Did he tell you why he was masquerading as a medium in Monte Carlo?
No. All I know is that we're in one sweet mess. We've left town without permission. They'll probably stop the train and send us back in a patrol wagon.
Oh, no, my friend. That won't be at all necessary.
Ravel!
Yes, mademoiselle. Ravel or Flamand. Well, since you know Miss Ravel, call me that.
You knew that I was on this train?
Oh, naturally.
Look here, old man. I kept quiet about you because you swore it was a matter of life and death. But will you answer a couple of questions now?
Oh, with pleasure.
Why did you pose as a medium?
Because the Moroccan government employed me to trap a murderer. So I had to work, how do you say, undercover.
All right. Why was Toby Stevens killed?
Stevens was killed because he was a blackmailer.
A blackmailer?
Yes, mademoiselle. Does that surprise you?
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. Very much.
I tried to warn Stevens, but the fool wouldn't listen. And then, well, I wasn't quick enough. Stevens was murdered, of course, by one of us four in the seance room.
Well, that's impossible.
Impossible? Oh, no. The trick was baffling because of its simplicity.
I'm sure you killed him.
One moment, mademoiselle. Let me show you what I mean by trick, baffling, because it is so simple. Take, for example, the pencil outline drawn on a paper around the medium shoes. Did Stevens tell you how I did that?
No. On this train 2 nights ago, he started to tell us, but...
Then he just stopped in the middle of it and laughed.
You see, the medium leaves his chair. Well, he makes tambourines rattle and ghost forms appear. Yet the pencil outline is not disturbed. Now, how does he manage it?
Well, how does he manage it?
Well, quite easily. He returns to his chair. He turns over the 2 pieces of paper. He takes another pencil and draws an outline of his shoes on the reverse side of the paper. You look at it.
And imagine it's the same outline we drew.
Precisely. So easily are people misled. And it was the same way with a murder.
But there couldn't have been any trick about the murder. None of us left the circle. We were all clasping hands when we heard that scream. Don't you agree?
Oh, yes, I agree.
I can't stand this any longer. When we heard Mr. Stevens utter that horrible scream...
What makes you think it was Stevens who uttered that scream?
I beg your pardon.
What makes you think it was Stevens who screamed?
Well, wasn't it?
Oh, you assumed it, yes. We all assumed it. But up to that time, Stevens wasn't even hurt.
Wasn't hurt?
You see, the source of sound cannot be located in the dark. It was the murderer who uttered that appalling cry. In a few seconds of darkness, before the lights went on, the killer simply leaned across and drove that dagger into Stevens' chest.
And you proved that?
Yes. If Stevens had been hit at the time of the scream, blood would have blotted out the spot of luminous paint. Yet, Marjorie Gray saw the paint shining after the scream.
That's true, Marjorie. I heard you say so.
You put the luminous paint there, Ravel. You were the only person who touched him.
Oh, no. There was one other person who touched him.
Who was it?
Another person, in full sight of you, said Stevens had spilled broth on his coat and swabbed at his chest with a handkerchief.
You mean?
I mean, of course, the real murderer. Your Aunt Hester.
Yes, Marjorie. Your Aunt Hester.
Aunt Hester!
Keep back, all of you.
Oh, so you managed to find the revolver?
Marjorie, I poisoned your Uncle Paul. I poisoned my husband, and Alex Stevens knew it.
You can't get away, madame. Keep away from that door.
I never believed in spiritualism. I let myself be influenced by a medium because Alex Stevens would try to stop it. He was getting money out of me. He wanted no other influence.
Don't open that door, madame.
But I am opening it.
Oh, Aunt Hester, don't!
I told you I wasn't a fool as I looked. I had the knife in my hand.
Stop her, Ken! Stop her! Ah!
Well, mademoiselle, she has committed many crimes, but now she has paid for them all.
And so closes The Moment of Darkness, starring Peter Lorre, Wendy Berry, with George Zucco. Tonight's tale of suspense. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us again next Tuesday, when Agnes Moorehead and Ray Collins will star in a study in terror titled The Diary of Sophronia Winter. The producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, who with Ted Bliss, the director, Wilbur Hatch, and Lucian Morowick, conductor and composer, and John Dixon Carr, the author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Mysterious Traveler.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. Where are we going? Why, we're going to visit a man who could change the soul of a human being from one body into another, in a story I call They Who Sleep. My story begins late one foggy night in a dingy little room in the slum section of a great city. The occupant of the room, a small man, white-haired, his cheeks hollow from hunger, has just admitted a visitor whom he does not know and whom he is trying to send away. An expensively dressed young woman with a heavy veil hiding her face.
But, my child, it cannot be me to whom you wish to speak. You have made some mistake.
I haven't made any mistake. I've been hunting for you for days. I spent a good deal of money tracing you here.
But I do not understand. Why should you wish to find me, Alexander Thomas, a penniless old man
You did not always use the name Alexander Thomas. Once you called yourself Chadwin the Great, hypnotist beyond compare.
Chadwin the Great?
Yes.
I once used that name. But Chadwin the Great no longer exists. I am only Alexander Thomas now.
Listen to me, Chadwin. We've met before. 10 years ago, you gave a performance at the Bijou Theater.
There are so many Bijou theaters.
You asked for volunteers to be hypnotized. I came up on the stage. I and my sister Rose. You hypnotized her easily, but you could not hypnotize me.
There were so many, I cannot remember.
No, but you can remember this newspaper clipping.
That old story from the newspapers? Where did you get it?
It says that you, Chadwin the Great, once performed the experiment of exchanging two men's souls. By the use of secret drugs and your great powers of hypnotism, you transferred one man's soul into another man's body.
You cannot believe all the newspapers say.
But you did this before witnesses. And one of the two men died. You went to prison for 5 years for manslaughter.
Why do you come here to remind an old man of his tragedies? Go, please. Leave me alone.
No, Chadwin. For years I've kept this clipping, for years. Never knowing what impulse made me tear it out and save it. Until last week I found it again. And then I knew.
You speak not like a woman, but like a soul possessed by devils.
Perhaps I am. So you can transfer souls from one body to another?
No, I cannot.
How much would you charge to do it again?
Do not ask that of me. I am old. I have been in prison.
How much, Chadwin? Could you put my soul into another's body for $10,000?
$10,000?
Yes. Then you could live like a man again, not like a starving animal in this hovel.
Once before I tampered with the eternal laws. I paid the penalty. And so did one of those I experimented upon.
But which one, Chadwin?
The
which
weaker
one?
one. He died. The other, the strong soul in its new body, lived.
Ah, then I am ready. When can you do it? Tomorrow night?
But, my child, why should you risk your life for that which cannot be, which was not meant to be?
Look, Chadwin,